Tasha, what are you doing? You're making me nervous here, dog. Getting there. All right, I think we're live. Telling me I'm live, so we're going to wait for everybody to show up here, as we usually do. I did forget to hardwire the Ethernet, but looks pretty good, so I guess we're good. What's up, Kyle?
What's up, Cam?
Huh?
You want the camera plug in?
No, I'm good. Now that I've already started it on the Wi-Fi, I can't switch it, so and we should be just fine. So loud and clear. All right. What's up, Dion? What's up, Brandon? Jonathan Dean. That feels wonky, but that's better. Oh man, I'm gonna take Norm's place and ask what's your pick for meme of the decade. It's got to be something involving Grumpy Cat. I mean, that's just a thing. So, all right, I do have an itinerary again for tonight, but I'm going to start by talking about the bowling balls first, seeing as how that's what the title infers. I guess who bought a second wild streak today already? What's up, Jeff? Jonathan, Jason? All right. Yeah, I think I got everything's set right, and I've even got my little turbo logo that's not actually up there on the TV. It's a little fancy thing I did in my editing software, which I'm so proud of myself. Shimwrecker Enterprises, Mr. James Kniffen. Torn between the P3 and the Wild Streak. Well, the good thing about that is they're totally, completely different balls, so you can just buy both of them. That's the way to go. Yes, happy Thanksgiving, Black Widow. Oh, wow. Started following you a couple weeks ago as a PBA member. Took 8 years off. Great videos. Awesome. Thanks. I appreciate that. Hey, come here. While you're here. Come here, sweetie. Come here, Tasha. Tasha, come here. Come on. Up. Come on. Tasha. Come on, Tasha. Come here. Okay. Never mind. She's not going to do it. We have a new foster dog. She's a white German, sure. They said she's a white German Shepherd, and she doesn't really look much like a Shepherd aside from the ears. But if she's not a Shepherd, I have no idea what she is, and she's making me nervous now walking around behind the camera back there. But maybe we'll figure it off. The drink of choice for tonight is Mama Chia Energy Blackberry Blast. I'm not into energy drinks. It's only got 90 milligrams of caffeine, but I ate a lot yesterday, and I ate a lot more today, and so I'm feeling a little sluggish. Hello to daughter Izzy. Brian. So chia drink, the main thing is the chia drink, and it's got chia seeds in there. So you half drink it and half chew it. It's fantastic. Oh, man. Chris Simpson. Happy holidays. I blew an 800 this week. I almost blew. Well, it was kind of my fault, but not really my fault. When I shot 802 3 or 4 weeks ago, I had 579 going in and shot 220 something. So, yeah, I barely had 578 or 577 or something. The point is, I started leaving a lot of single pins, and the fill ball of the second game, because I think I shot 290 something. I shot 290 something the first game. The second game I shot 270 something, and I thought, you know what? I really ought to take a look at a different ball on this fill shot, because if I have to get deep, this one isn't gonna work. And I thought, you know what? I've done this before, and I know how it ends, and so I'm just gonna stick with it. It's working just fine. Why screw with it? Well, I had to move in, and then I started getting tapped. So, yeah. What's up, Brian? Jonathan, is the Wild Streak a good replacement for my Daredevil trick? Absolutely not. Definitely not. Daredevil trick doesn't really have the greatest replacement out there right now. I'm not even sure what to tell you, because if I went looking for a Daredevil trick replacement, the closest that you could get as an idol and it's a fair bit stronger, and it's not quite as... It's a fair bit stronger, and it's just a little too much most of the time. Where the Daredevil trick, once it got a little shine on it, it had that kind of... I think it was 040 differential, so it had the super low RG, but it also had that kind of medium differential too, so it wasn't crazy. It wasn't too much. But idle is about the closest thing we can do. Jeff, just started my Storm Roto Arsenal. Have an Idle Pro pinup, getting a Phase 3 neg. Those a couple of good ones. Tobias, no, we have not gotten Angels Phase 3 drilled. Part of that is that we don't have League this week, and so it's not on the imminent to-do list. It's on the when everything kind of slows down and we get a chance to get out to the bowling alley list, which might happen tomorrow because I'm going for our big sale tomorrow, but probably not going to drill anything tomorrow. That would be a bad idea. So yeah, restricted my ball purchases until I get more comfortable with my swing. That's something I should do, but that sounds good. What would fit between an Idle Pro and a High Road? Probably an IQ Emerald, or possibly the All Road. The All Road and the Emerald are different balls, of course, but if you want more of a high road look that's a little bit stronger, then I would go All Road. And if you want an earlier and kind of rounder shape that's not quite as strong as the Idle Pro, I would go IQ Emerald. What's the difference between the Phase 3, Code Red, and Code Black? The Code Red and Code Black have the R2S formula on them. Of course, the Red's a hybrid, Black's a Pearl. Phase 3's got quite a bit stronger cover on it. The Code series has a really strong asymmetric core in it, and so those things are going to balance it out, but the Phase 3 is going to be longer and sharper, and the Red and the Black are going to be earlier and smoother. I still think the Phase 3 probably covers more boards than the Red and the Black do, but there's a fair bit of... there's an average amount of overlook, so... I didn't even look at the wild streak. I make too many release mistakes. Yeah, there's that too. Missed an 800 by 10 pins and shot a 790 with my all road. Love that ball. Can't wait to get the Phase 3. There's a lot of people that can't wait to get the Phase 3. I'm just glad I can talk about it now, honestly. Hey, Devin. Dog, you're worrying me so much. Tasha, what are you doing? You can't be over there. There's cords and all kinds of stuff, and you're a horse. I know, sweetie. Come on, back out slowly. You're worrying me, Tasha. Thanks, Devin. Yeah. We're going to skip that comment. I am in the shop technically, but we have a big sale, so there's that. Bought the MVP Pearl today. Can't wait to use it. We'll make a nice addition. First Pearl I've ever purchased. It's both pearlish and not pearlish at the same time, and you'll figure out what I mean. Picked up a Paradigm Passion. Holy wow. Ball's money on a house shot. Shot 300 my first game with it. Sweet. What's your favorite ball of these three? The Phase 3 is hard to beat. And again, that's not a knock on the other two. The Wild Streak's going to get a lot of attention on something tough. I have a lot better options on house shot. Phase 3 is... Yeah, that's why I had that sitting there. It's not going to sit there now unless you flip it back over. Turn it the other direction.
This way?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and turn it sideways. And put the cords... No, the other way. Other way, and put the... Yeah, just like that. And slide it my way just a little bit. Okay, it should balance there just fine. Yeah, I know. I can tighten this up a little bit. Maybe.
I'm not trying to distract you. I was hoping I could just come down and do it.
Well, if she hits a leg of the tripod, it's going down. So, yeah, the MVP Pearl is a lot of fun, but it's pretty strong. Have an old arsenal. Daredevil, Rising Star Theory. What's a good replacement for Daredevil, though I'm averaging 230? Daredevil is the closest you're going to get. Actually, the MVP Pearl is kind of Daredevil-ish. It's not as... It doesn't rev as much. Probably the Idle Pearl would be the best thing. So, all right. So, we're going to go on ahead and get into the itinerary a little bit here. We're going to start with the MVP Pearl since we're already talking about it. I think I made 3 videos for that, compared it to a few different things. The weird thing about both the MVPs, and the MVP Pearl has a twist on it from the MVP. Now they are pretty similar. If you watch both of them on the lane, they do similar things. The MVP is a little bit earlier, it's a little bit stronger, but their friction response is really, really close. Now the thing is that I feel like the MVP revs up more than the MVP Pearl, and that's tricky to differentiate between rolling and revving. Both of them roll very heavily, means that as soon as you put them down the lane, they are trying to slow down and trying to move, trying to hook. They're ready to go, dog. You see how the other ones are just kind of laying down? And I had this thing where all the dogs, for some reason, they like being down here when I'm streaming, and so they'll go in they'll go in their crates, and they'll just kind of lay down and hang out. Well, the new foster dog's only been here for a couple days, so she's pacing quite a bit. She's not nervous, she's just not used to the schedule yet here. So the difference between rolling and revving is when you put a ball out on the lane and it's rotating. When a ball is revving, the rotation is going to increase, or it's going to pick up, or it's going to move faster. It's like if you watch my Intense Fire videos that I had, that second one, the one that I've got pinned down with the stronger mass bias placement, it revs up really super quick. And so if you watch me, I let the ball go, and it's rotating, but it's not doing a whole lot, and then all of a sudden it really picks up and looks like it's accelerating. That's revving. Rolling is when a ball looks like it's having trouble getting down the lane, or when it wants to slow down, it wants to change direction. That's roll. And so both of them roll very heavy. So when you let them go and you put them out on the lane, they look like they want to slow down. They look like they want to start hooking right now. But if you watch as they rotate, they don't really start spinning any faster very quickly until they hit the end of the pattern. So it's kind of a unique deal where they're stabilizing. That heavy roll is helping them stabilize in the mid lane without the ball actually revving. And so it's kind of a weird thing to where I kind of feel like I have to help them down the lane, but I also feel like I have to help them shape right on the back end. And really that's just a product of not having the proper conditions or not having the right type of game. I already have a very roll-heavy game. I don't need anything being any earlier than it has to. Now, if I have more oil in the fronts, that'd be awesome. If I can get something that's rolling without revving, so that I can just go on ahead and hit it and take advantage of that roll without it starting to like pick up and wanting to start revving. Because when you have a ball that's both rolling and revving, it's just going to go. And that's what the Phaze 3 does. It rolls without being super heavy, but it's also revving pretty quick too. And so you've just got to give that room. With the MVP and MVP Pearl, you can play around with them a little bit more. There are some little nuances to them. I think for the straighter bowlers, it's going to be great because it's going to give you shape and stability in the mid lane to where you can just go on ahead and let it go and let it work. It's going to start to slow down and stabilize in the mid lane without like checking and going nuts, but when it hits friction, it's actually going to move. It's got a pretty sharp friction response, so it's going to have a nice amount of back end. So I think it's going to offer kind of a unique little twist, something that you don't normally see from the straighter angles. And the big thing I think could be for tournament bowlers on like Super Burn, somebody that Marshall Kent comes to mind, because he's got such a he's got such an overpowering physical game that everything is just crazy, crazy for him. And I think that having something like the MVP Pearl when you get into the later blocks where he doesn't have to get super when he does get super deep, he doesn't have to try to both get the ball down the lane and shape it. Because there's two different things. I've said this in the video, but there's a couple of different little weird things about getting deep is that you need a ball that will both rev up so that just because it gets down the lane doesn't really mean anything. If it gets there and hits like a pancake, then that's not good. You need something that both gets down the lane and then shapes properly and effectively to get through the pins the right way to get them all down. You can get deep with something like the IQ Tour, and it's just going to be flat. It's just going to be flat and flat. You're going to hit the pocket, but it's just going to be flat. And there's other balls that you can get, other balls on the other side of the spectrum, like a high road Pearl, where you can get down the lane, but it's not really revving or rolling because it doesn't have the guts inside. It doesn't have a stronger core in it, so it's built on kind of getting down the lane, but it's not built on overcoming a bunch of angle unless you have a bunch of friction. At that point, you're running into having trouble getting the ball down the lane, and so there's kind of a unique difficulty with getting both length and the right shape on the back end without having to manufacture it physically. The MVP Pearl kind of fills a little void, and the Pearl I say because rather than the MVP, because the MVP is just a little bit too crazy. That's going to be James and I have kind of put it in the unofficial HP 5 line because it wants to go. It's aggressive. The MVP Pearl is just a little bit more refined, I guess. The MVP is great for when you just need ball motion. For somebody that doesn't have a whole lot of revs or something, and you want to see some shape, need to see some ball motion, the MVP is a great choice. It really is, and you can't beat the price for what it's going to do for you on the lanes. The MVP Pearl, on the other hand, because it rolls heavy without revving, it's going to, that and the clean cover is going to help you get the length when you get deep, but that heavy roll is going to help the ball stabilize in the mid lane without revving and wanting to move. And because it's stabilizing and it's slowing down without actually hooking, it's saving a bunch of energy for the end part of the lane so that it starts revving in the right place. And it's going to give you an effective hook and an effective sharpness down lane that's going to really help in those later blocks when something like an IQ Emerald doesn't have the differential to get back up the hill, or the high road doesn't have the guts to get back up the hill, or something that shapes better like the Phaze 3 is going to fly back from deeper angles, but it's just not going to get down the lane. That's just not going to happen. So the MVP Pearl is something really unique in that it takes what the MVP does and it pulls it back just a little bit. It gives you a few different options, and it should be really good for tournament bowlers on the burn. Matter of fact, I was at a tournament. We were at the Greater Tulsa Open last weekend, and the Ballards were there and brought their entire group. Brian Himmler, Justin Hromick, Paul Fleming. Let me see. Obviously the Ballards. My rep Brett Cooper was there. It was good to see him. AJ Chapman was there with them. Jeffrey Young was there with them. Briley Huff. I'm still not sure on his last name pronunciation. But they had a squad. I mean, they just had a squad. In our squad was Shea Bittenbender and Tim Barrett and several other people that normally completely roll over that tournament every year. So, holy bork. Yes, like Mr. Shimwrecker Enterprises said, James is making YouTube videos, by the way, so I highly recommend clicking on his little icon there and checking it out. Also, there's something new down here at the Super Chat and Super Sticker. If you feel so inclined to contribute, the Super Chat is just you donate a couple bucks or something, and it pops up on the screen, and I get right to your question goes to the top of the list and whatever else. But now they have this thing called super stickers, and I have no idea what the super sticker is about. It says it sends an animated image, so that could be fun. I don't know. Could check that out. Tobias, yes, I do have a Patreon or Discord chat. I'm working on something special though, because I've been putting a lot more stuff up lately. Most of the time, what happens on Patreon anymore is that all my review scripts or all my video scripts go up there early. If I find some extra interesting stuff, cool. But I do some, and there are some that I've put up that I just never got around to making a video for. It didn't work for a video or something. But there's scripts that I've had up weeks ago where I basically write an article and then I turn it into a video for YouTube. But that stuff all goes up early, and there's some early access stuff, and most of what it is, it's a gateway to Discord, which Discord's our private chat server. And if you've ever been on an online thing like Reddit or Ball Reviews or anything like that, people just sign up sometimes to be trolly, and nobody's going to pay $5 a month to get into a chat and be a troll. So it's a nice little filter. We have a great community. So if you're interested in that, we also have general channels too. So if you just want to sign up for our general Discord channel, it's Storm Nation, all one word. James has got those linked up above. So those are my thoughts on the MVP Pearl. We're going to talk about, I'll catch up on some questions, and we'll talk Wild Streak here for a few minutes. Yeah, Jason Platt have both agree that they roll very similarly. MVP at 4K, MVP Pearl Polish, and that helps to differentiate between them. It is kind of hard to tell between them because the reaction's very similar. And like James said down here, Shemwrecker, it says the MVP Pearl feels like a more throwable MVP, and I totally agree with that. My MVP went right back in the box because I just don't need that kind of ball. The MVP Pearl I'm still tinkering with. It's a little early for me because, like I said, I can create the heavy roll myself, so I can get a high road Pearl back from anywhere I want to get it back from, just because I need help with length down the lane more often than not. So, yep, love dogs and cats. Respect Luke on the adoption. We do, yeah. We do rescue dogs. So we've got a couple. We've actually got 3 rescue dogs. The one was just a bad situation. We've actually got the other 2 from a couple of rescues, and now we foster. So we're on our 3rd foster right now. Again, she's a white German Shepherd named Tasha. So Bandit found himself the little black dog with the one ear that stood straight out. He found a home. Roxy found a home. So now we're on Tasha. She's not going to last very long because she's great. So, okay. Phase 3 versus Virtual Tour exclusive comparison. That's very similar to Phase 3 Halo Vision comparison. The Virtual Tour exclusive is very Halo Vision-ish. It's the now the Halo Vision is probably 3 to 4 boards stronger than the Virtual Tour. But if you watch a Halo Vision, that's basically the Virtual Tour exclusive. Does exactly what it does. It's just the Halo Vision hooks more. So the Virtual Tour is going to be, it's a little straighter off the end of the pattern. It's kind of got that, it does have that virtual look, like that Gravity Evolve look, where it just gets down there and then it kind of straightens out a little bit more at the end of the lane. That's kind of what it does. So Virtual Tour exclusive kind of looks like a hybrid or Pearl Gravity Evolve, kind of. Phase 3 is the culmination of a great 2019. Crux Prime Supersonic. I know you didn't like it. Everybody else liked it, so. Astrophysics and ProMotion are in my arsenal. Can't wait for this. Yeah, the Phase 3 is top shelf. And I'm going to take a small amount of credit for this. Now, Chad's a smart guy. Chad McLean, the technical director. He's a smart guy. He's on top of stuff. Full trust and faith in Chad when he's putting out equipment. But I've been begging him for a little over a year now to put R3S Hybrid on anything. I mean, really anything. I had a couple other suggestions, and the Phaze, something like a Phaze 3, and that's actually the funny thing is I guessed another ball. I guessed the IQ Tour Emerald. I was really close on that. The High Road X, I was down. I had the name. I guessed the name. I guessed the cover formula. I guessed everything, but I thought it was going to be a hybrid, and it was a solid. I guessed absolutely everything else. Now the Phaze 3, a couple days before we got the announcement, I was poking at him again. I said, R3S Hybrid, man, you got to put R3S Hybrid, because I started throwing my fires again, and they were just great, and I've been shooting lights out with them. And I said, you got to put this cover on something else. And I said, Phaze 3, it's perfect. R3S Hybrid, third domestic Phaze release. Call it the Phaze 3. The threes all line up. It's perfect. The marketing writes itself. And he's like, would you be happy? Would you be so happy if I did? Hell yes, I would. But it just made sense in the line now. At this point last year when I was talking to him about it, they had the Sonic coming out. And at this point, the strongest shiny ball that we have in the line right now is the Astrophysics. So the strongest shiny cover we have is R2S Pearl, which is on the IQ Tour Emerald and the Astrophysics. Those are the two strongest shiny balls that we have in the line right now. And even over on the Roto side, the Halo Pearl is the strongest shiny ball that we have, and it's not super, super strong as far as ASIM Pearls go. Most of the time I can't throw asymmetric stuff, and so when I can throw stuff easily, it's not super, super strong like the Intense. When the Intense and Intense Fire came out, I can throw my first Intense Fire. The second one needs a special set of circumstances, but the Intense was too strong for me to throw, and so that's how I know it's strong. I can actually recommend that to somebody who needs something that strong. Most of the time I can't throw stuff that strong, so I can throw the Astrophysics, I can throw the IQ Tour Emerald, I can throw the Halo Pearl, and so they're not crazy strong stuff, and so we needed a Phaze 3, and obviously I think he put 2 and 2 together, or 3 and 3 together rather. But Tess, what's up, Jay? So yeah, I still throw my Storm Optimus. Do very well with it. Love how it rolls. Yeah, my wife actually still has an Optimus that she throws and loves it. I take from the review that the Phaze 3 is an overall stronger high road. Yeah, there's no comparison there. Actually, the Phaze 3 is like 4 steps above a high road probably, because if I was going from a Phaze 3 down to a high road, I would go probably down to the Idle Pearl, down to the IQ Emerald, down to the All Road, and then down to the high road. So yeah, there's the twist there, though. It's not completely different. The high road is pretty long and boomy, and the Phaze 3 is pretty long and boomy, so it's a good solid step down. Actually, James and I were talking about what would be a higher RG complement to the Phaze 3, which we settled on the High Road Pearl. It's several steps beneath it, but if the lanes get torched in a hurry and you need to stay more in the same spot or keep your angles closed down or stay on top of the transition, yeah, you can drop down to something in the high road line pretty easily, because it's got that same, aggressive finish on the end there. But actually, yeah, there's not too much. There's not really a comparison. We can talk about it in complement terms, but there's not really a comparison. How do you compare the Halo Vision to the Phaze 3? Pretty different. The Halo Vision it hooks a lot, and it has a lot of pop for a sanded ball, but at the same time, the Phaze 3 is shiny. It's built to just glide down the lane and turn sideways. The Halo Vision is much more aggressive. It's much earlier. It's much stronger. So, if I have a Halo Pearl, is there a place in an arsenal for the Phaze 3? Yes and no. It depends on what you're after. I do have a video for that if you want to go check that out and see exactly. I put them side by side. I talk about them, just a comparison with just Phaze 3 Halo Pearl specifically. So if you want to check that out, that'll give you my thoughts. The short version is that the Halo Pearl is more forward off the end of the pattern, so it works better when I'm keeping my angles closed, so like 3rd to 4th arrow. Much too far right of that, it's a little too sharp. Much too far left of that, it's a little too forward off the end of the pattern. But from 3rd to 4th arrow, it's crazy good for me. And the Phaze 3 is still kind of not quite comfortable for me from 3rd to 4th arrow. I have to be at 4th arrow a little bit deeper to be able to really rip on the Phaze 3 and get that comfortable, so... Trying to be patient while on Phaze 3 and let the shine come off naturally. Do you recommend taking the shine off? The ball flat out turns left. It doesn't go in the if it doesn't go in the ditch, it gets back. Yeah, I would say I wouldn't take it. I wouldn't go any stronger than 3,000. But yeah, there's a lot of people who are gonna have to break the shine. I would highly recommend that. I don't like taking shine off of anything because the ball hooks plenty enough. I don't need it hooking earlier. I need it hooking later. I can control something turning sideways. I just have less control over something hooking earlier. So I'm going to leave the shine on it and just let it do what it does. Yeah, P3 with a Warren 2000 pad. Yep. Phaze 3 in the all-road, please. Yep. Thanks, David. Appreciate it. All right, we're going to talk about the Wild Streak now. The Wild Streak is kind of the tale of two balls because it's not the greatest look on a house shot. Now, it is for some people. I would imagine this is going to be great for the heavy hands. People that have heavy hands or that want to keep their angles closed, it's going to be perfect. For me, I have several different looks that are quite a bit better on a house shot than the Wild Streak. The Wild Streak is just too release sensitive for it to be super scoreable for me on a house shot. But on a sport pattern, when that's exactly what you want, because nothing's really going to, if you miss on a sport shot, there's no ball that's going to fix that. None. But what you do want is when you make a great shot or when you need to adjust some things physically, you need a ball that's going to directly respond to that and do exactly what you want, no more, no less, and the Wild Streak is that ball. Some balls are a little bit too assertive. They want to do what they're going to do. The Phaze 3, for example, it's going to go. It's just, that's what it's built to do. That's what it's going to do. That's what it wants to do. And so there's not going to be any of this, well, I'm just going to come up the back of it a little bit and get it to straighten out down lane. I mean, you can get it to go a little straighter, but it's just going to go. It wants to hook. That's what it's going to do. Let it be that ball. The Wild Streak, on the other hand, is the ball that does exactly what you tell it to. It's one of the better tools out there. Now, again, it's not going to let you get away with anything, but you're not going to get away with anything on a house or on a sport shot anyway. That's just not going to happen. So, again, what you want is something that does exactly what you want it to do, exactly what you tell it to. And it's one that the most amazing thing about the Wild Streak is the distance at which it, the possibilities for the hook at whatever distance. And you can see it in my review. If I come up the back of it, because it's got a higher RG, it's going to go. It's just going to go, and it's going to keep going, and then it's going to kind of ease in. If I get around it a little bit more, it'll hook 5 to 6 feet earlier than if you get up the back of it. It's amazing how you can change the direction down lane and the shape down lane with just a little hand position change. It's just, and it might be one of those things I've told people, theoretically on paper, it sounds incredible. It might be one of those things that is more, the possibilities are more oh wow, I just lost that word. The possibilities are more impressive than the reality. The reality might just be, well, it's a little too sensitive, but there's a lot of people that have already said, I really love this ball. And I think I know why. I think that the Wild Streak is like Simon Cowell or Gordon Ramsay. If you screw up, you're going to know about it. But there's nothing better than receiving a compliment from, all the people that you're watching these shows, Hell's Kitchen or America's Got Talent, American Idol back in the day. There was nothing better than getting a compliment from Simon because he gave them out so he didn't give them out very often. Gordon Ramsay, the same thing. You know, most of the time he's yelling at you. That's what he's known for, is yelling and cussing at people. But when he gives you a compliment, it really means something. And with the wild streak, it's one of those things where if you screw up, you're going to know about it. But at the same time, it feels so good to make a good shot with the wild streak, because you can just watch it all the way down the lane and say, yes, 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 yes. Or something like the Phaze 3, there's plenty of times where you're going to watch it go down the lane. And it's going to be really impressive. And then you're going to be shooting at a 9-pin, which is really fun to watch a ball go down and turn left. But you got to make sure that, you know, you're not so impressed or overwhelmed with glee at what the ball's doing that you actually need to make sure that it's being effective and not just, you know, turning sideways on the back end. The wild streak is, the wild streak's just Simon Cowell, Gordon Ramsay. That's what it is. The Phaze 3, man, I just lost his name too. He's hilarious. Ken Jeong. The Phaze 3 is like Ken Jeong. I mean, you're just going to have fun. You're just going to have fun. I mean, that's just the name of the game. When it comes to like serious judging and stuff, he's not the guy that you really look to. But he's the life of the party, and that's the Phaze 3. It's just a party. And the amount of people that have already shot honor scores with their Phaze 3. Mr. Shimrecker here shot 900 in a no-tap tournament, but it included a real 300 and a real 800. David Waswo, the former host of the Bowlers Show, shot both 300 and 800 with his a couple days ago, I'm pretty sure. I've had some other people that have already got numbers, and you know, not a whole lot of people have the ball yet. It's still 2 weeks away it's 2 weeks away from release, and staffers just got them like a week ago, and there's already been all kinds of numbers with them. So I haven't really had an opportunity to throw mine because the tournament that I went to in Tulsa, way too dry. I was fluffing out of an idle pearl from 4th and 5th arrow at the first house, and then I was rocketing my pin down high road tee at the other place. So yeah, that's just crazy. Let's see. Yep. Can't get along with my promotion. Tackle the Phaze 3 and Code Red aren't terribly similar, but they're not terribly different. The Red's earlier and smoother than the Phaze 3 is, but they've got kind of a similar-ish motion on the lane, really. Yep, thanks, James. Appreciate it. Can't get along with my promotion. Think it'll be a good idea to shine it up. I have a whole bunch of over-under. Yeah, that's the one thing. If you have a promotion, just shine it up. The other ones, the Crux Prime, the Gravity Evolve, you can play with the surface on that all you want. The promotion needs shine, and it doesn't matter what you're bowling on, because it is so round and it's so smooth and it's so slow down lane. With that strong of a cover, if it's sanded, it's going to be early. It's just going to be early, and it's not going to do a whole lot on the back end. It's like a resin urethane hybrid. Realistically, seriously. I am going to make a video. I've got a new series coming out that's going to be interesting. I bought a little kitty medical kit for it for props, if that tells you anything. So that's going to be fun. Somebody made a good suggestion about they liked my in-depth episodes, and they thought, well, it'd be cool to do in-depth episodes for balls that already exist that I'm not going to do a review on again, like the Phaze 2, Idle Pearl. Somebody wanted me to get deeper on the Essentials collection that I just made. I'm not going to do it on the High Road tier, the Halo Burn, because those are international. Those are more just for fun, and they don't really like me promoting stuff that people can't just go right into a pro shop and buy. And so I'm going to pick a few different ones, but I also have a Sport Shot tournament Essentials collection coming out. I have that new series I just talked about, but I am going to be doing several in-depths. Right now, let's see. I've got the Phase 2, the ProMotion, Idle Pearl, and High Road in-depth on my list of open tabs here on my Chromebook. Most of those are written. I think I'm halfway through the High Road. But that's coming in addition to 3 balls from the new series. And then so I got 8 or 10 videos planned here. Once again, all these scripts are going on Patreon quite a bit earlier than you're going to see them in video form. So I get done with a script and I plop it on Patreon, and it might be a month before I turn it into a video, but you get all the early stuff. Let's see. So yeah, you got to shine up the ProMotion. You just have to, because you got to get the motion further down towards the end of the lane. And like I said on my Gravity Evolve video, I sanded it up. It's been shiny, but I sanded it up for the comparison, and it reacted halfway decent for like 2 shots, and then it just went 60 feet. And I'm gonna put all those shots because it was just tragic. I had to wait until it shined back up, where I actually got shots with it shiny first, and then with the dull shots, it's just like, oh my god, I can't even. These all suck. They're just terrible. And so that's why I've told people, just put shine on it, let it shine up. Don't try to sand it back up again. Even if you're going to a tournament on heavier volumes or a sport tournament or something, that's actually where it's best at shiny. I mean, I went to the Springfield doubles tournament, the 10K doubles that Kevin Williams and Chris Taylor put on in Springfield back in August, and we were on the 37-foot 2019 Women's U.S. Open pattern that's pretty flat. And I wasn't executing that great that weekend at all, but I had a really good look with the ProMotion because everybody else was having angle issues, except the good bowlers. They were doing fine, but it was amazing. I mean, it got down the lane. It got down the lane, and it actually pushed the reaction closer to where I wanted it because the volumes were heavier up front, and they were really, really snappy on the back end. Once we got just a little bit of that oil pushed down, it was perfect. I mean, I could go on ahead and hit it, and it just kind of ease up in there like resin urethane. It wasn't as early and slow as urethane. It gave me a more resin shape, but with that urethane friction response. So let it shine up, keep it shiny. Oh man, being sent overseas for Army. Well, that's fun, I guess. Thank you for your service, definitely. I have several friends that are in the military. Some places are cool to go over to. I'd love to go to Japan. That's a super huge bucket list. Got to go to Japan sometime. But yeah, that's stay safe, and yeah, you'll have a lot of practice to do when you get back, but that should be fun. Let's see. House shots flooded in the Wild Streak works very well. Yeah, it looks good with polish on it. It looks good with surface on it. It just looks good whatever you want to do with it. I'm probably being even a little harder on it than I should be because the response has been pretty overwhelmingly positive, and I thought to me it feels like it's a little bit more release sensitive, but that could be just the layout I've gone on it. It could be me, but I mean, it still looked great in the video. I don't really have a complaint. I just want to make sure that somebody doesn't get this ball and think it's just going to be awesome and cover up all their mistakes, but I think it's actually quite a bit better for just the general public on a house shot than I kind of expected it to be. So that all good things there. Idle Pearl, the Daredevil danger. Dear God, Idle Pearl. Dear Lord, Idle Pearl. I think the Idle Pro is better than the ProMotion for house. Yes and no. Part of this is going to be I'm actually going to talk about the Uncut review thing because I have some pretty strong opinions both directions. I like them and I hate them. But I'm going to try to put a little twist on that for my ProMotion, for a ProMotion video that I'm doing. So, yes and no. Yep. Playing with blades in golf, yep. All road, I shine my promotion up, and wow, incredible ball for me, always in the bag. Exactly. There's nothing that torques me more than, oh, my promotion shined up fast. It happens to all sanded balls. Doesn't matter what the cover is, doesn't matter. Ron Hicklin pointed out something. Generally, what we call lane shine is not just specifically shine from the balls or shine from the lane, because if it was, you would have the shiny spots would be where the ball actually comes into contact with the lane, and then the rest of the ball where it doesn't touch the lane would still be dull. But it's all the stuff. It's the shaker board back in the pit, and it's the track coming back, and the wheels that are putting the ball back up to the ball return. All that stuff is, reducing the surface of the ball, and that's why the surface of the ball changes, and that's also how it hooks, because it's not super hard like plastic is. Plastic's going to be more resistant to surface changes because it's harder, and but the other balls, that's part of that is soft. They're a little bit softer so that they can get traction, and so that you can change the surface on them more easily. But the flip side of that is that the surface is going to change back. So that's what we have Abralon pads for. Wonderful things. So yeah, a shiny ProMotion is just amazing. Mine's just a little too smooth, and I do want to put a different layout on one. But yeah, it doesn't make my house shot bag, but I've been playing with it, and it's kind of interesting where it's gotten to, and that's why I'm making a couple more videos on it, because there's always a difference between how a ball, and this is part of the Uncut thing. I need to talk Phase 3, and then we're going to talk to oh man, all kinds of stuff coming at the same time. Mr. Bill, $20, Antler Fun for the new puppy, and Legacy Doggos. And Matthew Cross with $5. Thank you very much. That's greatly appreciated. It helps a lot. I am going to talk about that later, too. There's a couple things that I want to talk about just because I want to talk about them. But the story now, so I'll try to get Tasha on here, because Tasha's gorgeous. So I'll have to see if I can get Tasha on here without like wrecking the entire basement, because she's a horse. So Dad gave me his Code Black. How's it compare to the P3, and does the Code Black roll smoothly? Yes and yes. The Code Black is shaped more for other people, but I had a pretty strong layout. That's back when I didn't really understand asymmetric layouts so much. I didn't realize how much the mass bias placement was a thing. And so my Code Black was drilled really strong, and so it was pretty early and pretty smooth. The astrophysics is kind of like a longer and stronger Code Black. So the Code Black for me was smooth, but it was pretty long and boomy for most people who knew what they were doing when they drilled it. Bought a Timeless a year ago, had to put surface on it, too much over under. I mean, I can see that, because it's a different shaped, it's a high road kind of that's shaped a little differently, and with that dual density core thing that they were working on, it was an interesting ball. So yep, looking really forward to getting back. Cool. Brandon. Difference between P3 and the Hectic. Yeah, massive difference, not even close. Pretty much, yeah, there's a huge difference between the Phase 3 and the Hectic. Oh man. We got the doggo coming down.
Try.
We're gonna try.
See how this works.
Yeah. I'm gonna move over here so you can actually get in the picture. Tosh Tosh, come here. Tosh Tosh. Maybe. Tosh Tosh. Come here, Tosh Tosh. Come here. Tasha Tasha. Come here, Tosh Tosh. Come here, baby. Hi. Are you in the picture? Not quite? Maybe? What's this up here? There you go. And she's a horse. She's pretty big. So, yeah, she's not quite in the picture. No, maybe. She'll get her. Come here, Tasha. Come here. Come here, doggy. Yeah, yeah. Yep. There you go, doggy. Hi, baby. There you go. Yes. Yep. Now you can kind of see her. Doggo in the picture. Mm-hmm. You good? Bye, Tasha. Yeah. Yep. She's a horse. She's a little skinny. The people that had her before worked a whole lot, and so she spent most of her life in a crate, and they decided that wasn't, they just couldn't take care of her the way that she needed to be taken care of, and so they surrendered her, and we've got her now. So normally what the process is for the rescues is we kind of take a week or two and kind of check them out and see, are they good with, are they going to be good with kids, are they going to be good with others, small dogs, cats, whatever else. We just kind of check them out and see what's going on. We think she's going to be pretty easy. We haven't had a difficult foster yet, but she's pretty headstrong. She needs a little bit of training. Needs to listen a little bit better, but she's kind of the quintessential.
Well, when she was in a crate, I mean, they didn't
Yeah,
touch her, so.
super playful, super energetic, really smart, really smart. So yeah. Anyway, Phase 3 hectic. Love them both. Really different. Crazy different. Yeah, the wild streak sounds like multiple balls in one. It really is. It really is, and that's why intellectually, mentally, I like it so much. Because you can do so many different things with it, and the depth of the different responses or the different reactions to physical changes is pretty crazy, actually. It's very interesting. So yeah, it's pretty workable. It's a higher RG. I don't even want to call it a higher RG IQ tour, because the IQ tour always wants to pick up and it always wants to roll. It wants to be continuous. There's no backing out of an IQ tour and getting it to stop down lane. That's just not a thing that it does. The wild streak you can do that with. It's really, really good. And the better you are, the better that ball's going to be. So, oh, sweet. Thank you, Dave P. Also for the Doggo Fund, had a white shepherd and would be at your house if Connecticut was closer to Kansas. Yeah, Connecticut's a little bit of a drive. I might start making rescue dog videos too, because that could be fun. I know it's not a bowling thing, but it could be fun to just break things up a little bit. Put the doggos on there and have a little bit of fun. But hi, Tasha. Mm-hmm. Aspen, what are you doing? You're funny. Aspen's just this poor little damaged dog here. She looks like a cross between a German Shepherd and a Shiba. And she's just, I don't know what happened with her, but she's really timid and really shy and just scared of her own shadow, and it's kind of a little bit sad, but she's a lot of fun too, because when she opens up, she really does have a lot of fun. But if dogs could drink. Is the high road a good ball, and is the IQ Tour a good ball? Well, one's been around for 11 years, and the other one's been around for 7 years in a climate where most balls make it about a year and a half. So they actually have a birthday party for the high road every year at headquarters, if that tells you anything. I had another idea for a video too, and I'm going to be writing that over this weekend. So the high road and the IQ Tour will be involved. Let's see. Yeah, I can get my Hectic to do the same thing as my P3. I just have to throw it 3 miles an hour slower. Yep. Do the pros get free balls from their company? Yeah, it's kind of the national staffers get free stuff. Yeah, it's kind of, that's kind of what the deal is. Just like any other pro in any other industry, they have sponsors and they have supporters, and they provide them with free equipment to use, and in turn, the pros provide them with a lot of marketing and advertising, and if you win with if somebody wins with Nike golf clubs or a Storm bowling ball, then that says something to people. So, realizing you're a Storm bowler, are you at liberty to discuss the acquisition of EBI by Brunswick and if this will impact Storm in a positive way? No, I can't really say anything. They don't want to say anything, but at the same time, it's not. It's an industry thing, and we all care about the people who lost their jobs. But at the same time, we don't have all the information. We don't know. There's still more details coming out about it, and it's not our company, so it doesn't affect us directly. So it's probably something that we should be respectful enough to stay out of, really. So that's the direction that we're going to go. Taking the high road, get it? Because never mind. Love my high road. Yep. All right, we're going to talk Phase 3 now because everybody wants to talk about Phase 3. That's the popular one. It is 2 weeks away from release as of right now. Man. All right. So we're talking Phase 3. Phase 3 is an animal. Like I said, I've been begging Chad to put R3S Hybrid on anything. I think that the Intense series was a little misunderstood, and that core is super, super interesting. I think the big thing with why people were kind of hit or miss, were really hit or miss with the Intense and Intense Fire, because I think that core is just a little layout sensitive. Because the difference between my two Intense Fires is absolutely insane. One of them is pin up, and it has a longer pin to pap, and it has a longer PSA to pap, and so that's going to make it longer and straighter off the end of the pattern. The second one that I drilled is pin down, and it's got the same pin distance as the first one. It just has a much stronger PSA to pap measurement. And so the way that you think about that is basically think about PSA to pap in the same way that you would think about pin to pap. It does kind of the same things. It's designed to create imbalance in the core. And because, when you have, this is basically, we would call this symmetric, because as you turn, if the pin to pap number tells you how much the core is straight up and down on its side or kind of at an angle. And so as it's turning, make sure this is closed, that'd be important. But if you have it straight up and down, it's going to roll like this, and a long pin to pap, which would be 6 3/4. It's just going to roll end over end. It's not really going to gain any kind of steam. And if you do it like this, if you lay it down like that, it's not going to have to migrate very far to find a stable axis to roll on, which the axis is just like sticking a pencil through a tennis ball or something. The pencil would be the axis. And, if you just put it on there and then you spun the end of the pencil would be the axis. Now, if you angle the core at like a 45-degree angle, as it turns, it's agitating quite a bit. And that imbalance is going to make the ball flare, and it's going to make it flare more, which is going to make it hook more. Well, if you have an asymmetric core, it's more something like this little fan here, to where you can, and actually this fan is kind of shaped like a light bulb core almost if it was symmetric all the way around, but you can turn it, you can tip it, and create that same imbalance with the pin to pap measurement. But with the PSA to pap measurement that you don't have with this, if you turn it, the pin to pap is basically a vertical position of the core, or vertical, straight up and down, horizontal, side to side. And the PSA to pap measurement is turning the core. Well, as you turn this, there's no way to create any additional imbalance because it's symmetric. It's the same all the way around. Whereas as if you have this fan, you can both turn it sideways and you can turn it this way, and then all of a sudden as it's turning, it's going to have crazy amounts of imbalance. And so that's basically the difference between a symmetric core and an asymmetric core. And just by utilizing a stronger PSA to pap measurement, my second Intense Fire is a bunch earlier, a bunch windier, a bunch more revvy, and more hooky. So putting that putting that easily. But, winter gets dry. I have the humidifier on, but I always get dry skin anyway. So, anyway, so the difference between those cores was crazy, and so I think that you could get I've got both a really weak ball motion out of one of my intensifiers, and I've got a really crazy strong motion out of the other one. So the amount of layout sensitivity that core had, just because it's so windy and aggressive, yeah, lost my train of thought. That's great. Because that core is so windy and aggressive, it's going to be really, really sensitive to the layouts you put on it. And so I think that most of the people who got one and didn't like it, it's probably a layout thing, not an actual ball thing, or either of them, the Intense or the Intensifier. But I really like that cover. And so I've been begging Chad to put it on. Just please put it on anything. I've got an idea for a couple other balls, which I won't spoil him because I'm still really pushing him to put them out. Now he's like, I gave you your Phase 3, man. Chill out. I'm like, hey, the people want what the people want. So, but yes, Chad, everybody is thanking you. But yeah, R3S on everything. I think R3S, in my opinion, the R3S formula is the best formula that Storm makes. I think it's better than R2S, and that's really saying something. It's quite a bit stronger. But when you take something like the Phase 3, and it's a hybrid, and it looks like a pearl. Dog, you're worrying me. Hi, sweetie. I know. Fairly agile, though. She keeps winding her way through the legs of the tripod there. But, no, I just really, really like the cover. It's really clean. It's really responsive to friction. And R2S, with it being a medium strength cover, sometimes it's just a little too long. It's not quite aggressive to command or to kind of overpower the lane. And you don't necessarily want to overpower the lane very much. But I think that the R3S cover is a little bit more proactive, for the R2S cover is a little bit more reactive. It's still their quickest response cover, R2S is, but it doesn't have quite enough traction and oil to where the conditions affect R2S a little bit more than it affects R3S. R3S is still just going to get through it, and it's going to do what it's going to do. So I really, really love that formula. I'm glad that they came back out with it, and I think that we needed that look as opposed to an R3S Pearl look, which is actually earlier and smoother somehow than the R3S Hybrid. They feel like they're kind of switched at birth. But the Phase 3 is very, very simple to describe. And I've talked about this with Mr. Shimrecker here, who actually, if you want to... Oh, man, I got a check. I got a check from a tournament. Awesome. It's not going to be too much, but Mr. James Kniffen, if you want to give me a call anytime here whenever you're ready, we can talk some stuff. Mr. James Kniffen of Shimrecker Enterprises, who has just started his YouTube channel. Definitely go check that out. James Kniffen Jr., Shimrecker Enterprises. Search that. He's got a real great mind for technical stuff, and he keeps track of exactly how many games each of his balls have on them. He's got a spreadsheet with layouts and surfaces and everything else, so that he has different slots in his arsenal where he can fill, he fills stuff based on shape and hook potential and surfaces, and he's got everything laid out and everything done, and that's kind of how he's going to go about doing his video stuff. So his videos are going to be more in-depth than my in-depth videos, but he talks quite a bit less than I do. So he can get to the point. He can get to the point and deliver stuff, information, quicker, clearer. I just like to talk. I'm kind of a woman, so, and that's not saying anything bad about women. It's just they like to talk. I like to talk. James gets to the point a little bit faster. So, yep. Give me a call anytime you're ready. Here, I think the So, yep, give me a call. Oh, okay. Well, I'll just call you. Because I think I accidentally shut you off.
Hello?
Hey, what's up? I think I accidentally cut you off there.
Yeah, I think it went straight to voicemail when I called you a second ago.
Yeah. All right. So, this is Mr. James Kniffen Jr. of Shimwrecker Enterprises. Is it an LLC or is it just a straight corporation or business or whatever?
We're just a straight business right now. Looking at becoming an LLC next summer.
Sweet. Yep. Dynamite drop-in money. All right, so we've heard all of my thoughts about the MVP Pearl and the Wild Streak and the Phase 3. So James is a new Storm staffer. He, of course, if you have followed the channel for a while, we had the UBA Battle Bowl contract match where him and Dougie, Mr. Douglas Heron, beat Kyle Troop and Pete Weber for their Storm contracts. And before that, you shot 780 in a qualifier just to get into that match, right?
Yeah, it was 782, 783. And notably, that was with a Idle Pro that I literally drilled up 48 hours before.
Oh yeah, I remember that. We had kind of a mad scramble to get you one of those because thought that it was going to be good down there.
Yeah, it turns out that hunch was definitely correct. So that ball was a champ.
So James has been a Storm staffer. He won the contract, and they both individually won their points. It would have been if one of them lost and the other one won, but they won total, they still would have both gotten contracts. And they both won their match. They both won their individual match. And so he's got a contract, and he's been shooting all kinds of nonsense. He shot 856 with a physics month and a half ago. Real
house record by one, unfortunately. But,
yeah.
That's how the cookie crumbles.
Yeah, so you've had several 300s and a bunch of 800s since signing, and so everything seems to be going really well from your direction.
Yeah, I actually had some pretty good success this week. I'll mention some of it later, but you mentioned part of it already. It was first set out of the box with my Phase 3. I shot 900 in a no-tap, so it was a legit 808. So
yeah. Yep.
Kind of riding the wave right now, honestly. That's kind of how I'm approaching it.
All right, so you get a little bit more technical than I do. I can do the technical stuff, but I tend to try to boil it down a little bit more. But you're really effective with explaining things in kind of blue collar, more understandable terms, but still being specific and technical about it. So we're going to go down through these and get your thoughts on the MVP Pearl. Let's start with that one.
Okay. I know I've talked with you about this film and with Tamer as well. And the MVP Pearl and the MVP, to a certain extent, they almost defy explanation. Like the MVP Pearl, it gets through the fronts really well, but it reads the mid lane really hard and has a big directional change. But it does that without being sharp through the pins.
Yeah.
But yet you can keep moving left as much as you want, and it's never going to stop coming back.
Which is really... Yeah, go ahead.
It's bizarre. Yeah, it's a bizarre feature set, but it is, it's ridiculously fun to throw. And it's to the point where if I'm taking just one ball and I'm coming in blind on a house shot, that might be the ball.
Yeah.
Just because I'll be able to hit pocket and get at least 9 in any situation on a house shot.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually a really good point to think about it that way. Now, it's one of those things I've talked with some other people. I have several friends that are staffers, and of course, once you become a staffer, you kind of get in the loop with all the other staffers and whatever else. But this is like the description for the MVP Pearl is like the typical staffer description that you always tease them or rail on them for, is because oh my god, it gets through the fronts really clean, but it revs up hard in the mid lane, but somehow it still flies on the back end, and just kind of the cliche staffer response that it does everything and it does it perfectly, and that's I mean that's
actually kind of applies to this.
Yeah. It's actually realistically a thing here.
You might have touched on this earlier in the stream as well. Is and this is an illustration of how bowling isn't done on paper, is you look at the spec sheet for the MVP Pearl.
Yeah.
It's a Pearl cover. It's got the usual Utah 1500 grit polished surface. The core is 255 RG 040 diff. So you're looking at all that stuff and you're thinking, oh, this ball's going to go 50 feet before it even thinks about hooking.
Mm-hmm.
It actually is stronger front to back than my Phaze 3.
Mm-hmm.
So in that sense, that's where like cover chemistry is such a black box, but it's such an important part of ball motion.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really good illustration of that.
Yeah, and I think the Phaze 3 is so much stronger overall, and it's quicker on friction, but at the same time, I don't feel like I have to help the Phaze 3 get down the lane. I just need to move a couple arrows left and rip on it. But I don't really feel like I can do that with the MVP Pearl.
Yeah, the MVP it almost sometimes. I was actually doing some testing today at my home center in Cary, North Carolina. The MVP Pearl almost feels slower response than the Phaze 3, even though it is a bigger, like raw directional change if you just straight A B the two balls.
Yeah,
so it's a paradoxical ball reaction, honestly, but it is still probably one of the most fun balls I've thrown in a while.
Mm-hmm. And I've heard there's a lot of people that have said it. And I touched on this on my Phaze 3 video about color blending, and some people have said, oh my God, it looks great. Other people have said it just looks ugly going down the lane, but it still manages to be, despite all the bright colors and all the swirling and everything, it's still pretty readable as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, and I think that's because of the shape it makes more than anything else is, like you can kind of see it starting to churn, and that's where like the MVP and MVP Pearl do kind of share some reaction traits, as crazy as this is to say, with the Halo Pearl, which is obviously a big block, shiny, asymmetric.
Yeah.
Where it kind of gets down the lane and it really starts to just rev and chug and grind, and then roll forward through the pins.
Yeah,
and kind of share that reaction trait, and that kind of a friend of mine who's actually on staff with Radical has always described the Squatch as a control pearl ball.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of think of the MVP in that same vein to a certain extent. Like it's got a big motion, but it's like I can't think of a single time where I've gotten trapped by wet dry with that ball. And that is honestly kind of remarkable.
Yeah, it's kind of wreckerish and a little bit Daredevil-ish at the same time. I think the Daredevil, it was a little quicker revving for me. They had similar rolls, but the Daredevil was a little quicker revving, and it was kind of still had that clean motion to it. I don't know. Did you have a Daredevil, the original one?
I threw one at a demo day about 3 years ago.
Oh, okay.
So basically, not really.
Yeah. Yeah, the MVP Pearl is kind of Daredevil-ish, and it's also kind of Wrecker-ish at the same time.
Yeah.
But
it's definitely. I did have the Wreckham back when they came out. What was that? 2 years ago? Year and a half, 2 years ago, something like that.
I think it's actually been. Well, yeah, it might have only been 2 years ago. I think it's been discontinued for at least a year and a half though. So.
Yeah.
Might have been longer than that.
Far too long. That was a really fun ball to throw. But like even though they technically occupy the same spot of being the current Pearl HP2 ball, the MVP Pearl does feel significantly stronger front to back than the Wreckham ever did.
Yeah, the Wreckham was a whole lot easier to get through the fronts. Like it flew down the lane, and then it had that same kind of that sharp but not. It had a clean and decisive move on friction, but it wasn't like a sharp cutting motion through the pins.
Yeah, it felt a little climbing, almost Phase 2-ish.
Yeah.
Where it just kind of pick up and climb back to the pins and never stop.
But yeah, it was definitely quite a bit easier through the fronts, and I think like you were saying earlier about the cover thing, it's a cover thing more than a core thing, because the core is virtually the same thing. I mean, this is the altered Wrecker core, or the Neutron core, which is only, I think the RG is the same at 255, but the differential in the MVP and MVP Pearl is just 200ths or 2,000ths lower, rather, than these. But
Wreckham,
yeah, it's,
I'm looking at the specs. The Wreckham was 255 042.
yeah.
So, and funnily enough, enough. I think I had the cover from one of the hustles. I think it was the POW.
Mm-hmm.
Had that same cover that was a pumped pearl. I think it was.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Trip down memory lane. So
Yeah.
That's neither here nor there.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, no. I guess if I'm going to sum it up, like, I haven't had a chance to throw it on sport patterns, which I don't do hardly any sport bowling at all. And I think I touched on that some in my intro video over on my channel. I could see the MVP Pearl potentially being really good as like a transition ball, especially on medium to medium longer patterns.
Yeah.
Like what you start with, if you're starting with like a Phaze 2, for example, and then the mids blow, and you need something to be able to float more, but you don't want to go all the way down to like a high road pearl or something along those lines.
Yeah.
Then going to something that's going to be heavier rolling, but still give you that element of control would definitely be an asset to have. So.
Yeah. I just saw. We're the guy in question, Mr. Chad McLean, has dropped in to wave and say hi. So hi, Chad.
Oh shoot, I'm nervous now.
Yeah. It's just Chad. No.
Chad, thank you for the MVP. Thank you for the Phaze 3. That ball's amazing.
Yeah. We all thank. We're all definitely thanking Chad for the Phaze 3. So.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, while he's on here, get him to stay here an extra second, or if he might be just checking in and checking out. Let's jump over to the Phaze 3 and talk about that. About how amazing that thing is. So. Yeah, I can turn the speaker. All right. So I can actually put the speaker even a little bit closer here too, so that everybody can hear James. Okay. But Phaze 3, and so I know that you said that you had an intense fire once upon a time, but didn't spend too much time with it.
Yeah, it was. I honestly like thinking about what you said more recently in your videos, especially comparing your two fires.
Yeah.
And how it's a little more layout sensitive. I think, like, looking back on my experience with the intense fire, I think it was a combination of two things. Number one, I actually had two of them. One was pin up, one was pin down. Kind of similar to yours. I think it was a combination of, at that point in time, I was whacking, like I was ripping on the ball a lot harder to release one. And so the faster covers could be more sensitive for me. And so that I ended up kind of getting trapped in over under with both of the fires. But I also think that I just might have not had the most optimal layout choices on there. And so combine a layout that's kind of fighting the ball with a fast cover. And at the time I had like a 550 rev rate and I was grabbing the crap out of it at release. Like, that's not a good combination.
Yeah, you definitely don't need to definitely don't need to grab that one, because that's just a.
That is very accurate.
It kind of reminds me. The core kind of reminds me of the atomic core in the physics line. I think that the atomic core is a little more. It's less layout sensitive. It's a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, the numbers are really
crowd friendly.
The two cores, right?
Yeah, they are pretty close. Yeah. The Rad E is really windy. It's really continuous. I mean, it shares. We keep talking about the velocity core and the atomic core that share similar traits or similar, on lane motion, on lane shapes. I think that the Rad E is kind of along it's that aggressive, that windy, aggressively continuous motion down lane that you can. The delta between my two fires is crazy. And so there's a lot of versatility in the Rad E core, but that versatility also can make it a little bit more sensitive. And I think that that's the people that had issues with those balls. It had to have been mostly a layout thing, because I think that the covers, obviously, especially R3S hybrid. R3S Pearl is a little bit kind of like nano pearlish for me. It was kind of early and strong and smooth.
Yeah.
But that.
No, I threw I threw a friend's original Intense with a pretty, what was at the time a pretty normal layout for me. And I mean that thing dug in and chugged and hooked. I was stunned by how strong that ball was.
Yeah, it's still one of the stronger, probably probably still the strongest shiny ball that I've ever thrown, period. So it's just
The MVP is up there, but yeah, I can see that.
yeah. Yeah.
Hashtag HP5.
Touche. But yeah, R3S Hybrid is a pretty amazing cover, and I think now that we found you an intense fire and you've got a better idea what to do with it. I think that people are going to see exactly how amazing this cover is, and I think that will create a surge in demand for that cover. I'd love to see it on another. I'd love to see it on the Atomic Core as well. It'd share a similar
That could be really good.
on-lane motion, but I think that the Atomic Core is a little more driller friendly, so to speak. And so I think that after this we should see R3S kind of start to come back out of the woodwork.
Yeah, no, that'd be awesome. But yeah, so I did 3 Jordan on Saturday, I think.
Yeah.
Bowled. So Simpson, I actually calculated this last night. I have bowled 11 games in competition with my Phase 3 across 3 different centers, and I'm averaging 251 with it on house shot.
Yeah.
That's 3 different centers, and one of those includes a 6-game sweeper that I bowled on Thanksgiving Eve.
Mm-hmm.
And I honestly was not expecting to be able to throw the Phase 3 for more than a couple games.
Yeah.
It's a center that usually gets kind of a little bit over cliffed, where you get it to 5 early and it's going to go through the face at best, go Brooklyn worst case, then get it up the lane, it's going to kind of wobble. But the nice thing is that house also has twister pins.
Yeah.
I was able to, like, the first game, the back ends were flying and the Phase 3 was completely out of play. I threw my IQ tour solid.
Yeah.
Then after that, I was kind of able to, I've got a pretty heavy ball roll naturally, not a ton of active, still pretty high rep rate.
Yeah.
So I'm able to kind of trap and roll the ball at the pins and just kind of let the ball tumble up to the pocket.
Uh-huh.
And so I essentially did that for 5 games. But here's the thing. In 5 games on what was a kind of a wet, dry house shot, I missed in and didn't strike twice. And there were just 2 buckets because I overthrew the ball and missed in.
Yeah.
So even in that situation, and, like, it's still basically the box surface.
Yeah.
It's still able to kind of, like, thinking back to the fire and how it was a pretty clean cover. Like, yes, I feel that with the Phase 3, but it also feels like if I roll it through the oil and give it time, it's still going to pick up and not overskid.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and that's what I was.
Honestly, it's pretty remarkable.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of touching on earlier with the comparison between the R3S formula and the R2S formula. The R2S formula, you can really tell where the oil's at, and you can really tell where the friction's at. With the R3S formula, it's stronger, and so it's going to be, once again, I said it's going to be a little bit more proactive, where the R2S formula is a little bit weaker, so it's a little bit more reactive.
Yeah, I'd agree with that for sure. I was actually pulled my high road pearl out and was testing that against my Phase 3 today, and the Phase 3 was definitely, obviously it flipped over and tumbled sooner due to cover chemistry and that lower RG core.
Yeah.
But even looking at not friction response but oil response, it's like even with surface on my high red pearl, I threw it in the oil and it over skidded. Did that with the Phase 3 and it still picked up.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's a big thing, is why I'm such a big fan of the cover. And I have had it on a couple balls. I've had the 2 fires and I had the Virtual Tour exclusive, and so I've got about as much experience with that cover as you could have with it, because we haven't seen it a whole lot. But I really am a big fan of that cover, and obviously then with the Phaze thing, the original Phaze had that kind of weird pearl cover on it that was pretty early and smooth, and people didn't really get it because they thought, oh, it's a pearl with a big core, it's going to be a Marvel pearl, or it's going to be something else like that. And then it was kind of like a ProMotion pearl, where it's just really smooth and rolly. And when the Phase 2 came out, there was still a little bit of hesitation from the original Phaze, and so I think it took a little while for the Phase 2 to get its legs under it, and for people to realize just how amazing that ball was. And now I think is the perfect time that everybody really respects the Phase 2 and has kind of forgotten about the original one. And so with having that, not seeing that cover very much, and it was just a perfect time for the core and the cover to come out. And like I said, even though I've been bugging Chad about putting out another stateside phase and putting this cover on something else, it just wasn't the right time before now. It just fits perfectly with what we have in the Storm lineup just by itself, and with comparing it to what we have in the Roto lineup as well.
Yeah, and that's something else interesting as well is I think this is only the second or third shiny hybrid that's ever been in the Master line.
Yeah,
and
that's
there's the Fusion and was it like one of the Dominations I want to say, and that's basically it.
Yeah, I was going back and trying to see, and there were a couple, like the Modern Marvel, I think, but it was a sanded hybrid. But even then, there still hasn't been a whole lot of hybrids, period, shiny or sanded. But yeah, I think we were actually looking at that because we keep. Well, I guess the Supersonic's a hybrid too, but it's sanded, and so yeah, we went back and looked at the shiny hybrids, and there just wasn't really anything to speak of in the Master line, and so I think it, like I said, it just filled a void at the perfect time.
Yeah, and looking at it from a reaction perspective, you can kind of see this in your comparison videos. The Phase 3 almost overlaps with like 3 other balls in the line right now, while still doing its own thing. Like you can see in your comparisons, it's got traits of the Halo Pearl. Mm-hmm. It's got traits of the Astrophysics. It's got traits of the Idle Pearl, mm-hmm. but it's still kind of in its own niche.
Yeah.
And I think that's like that they were able to pull that off and make a ball that's just throwable when, like, obviously if the back ends are flying, it's probably not to play.
Yeah.
But other than that, it's probably going to be there for a lot of people. And I think that's pretty awesome. And, I mean, it smells like Great Jolly Ranchers, so that's a plus as well.
Yeah, I think it's strong enough for the straighter players. It gives them shape that they're not going to see out of something else, but it's still clean enough up front for the high rev guys they're going to have to get deeper, but usually when you have something that's that strong, it's just not going to be throwable, period. And the Phase 3 get through the front so easy that unless you're just bowling on dirt, and especially because of how deep you can get with it, there's a lot of times where stuff with the Idle Pearl, for me, it has a limit. Unless you have a lot of friction, or unless you have a lot of friction in the right place or something, it gets a little lazy when you get deeper with it. But the Phase 3, the deeper you get with that, the more it likes it. So just because of how clean it is up front and how long you can stay with it, that just makes it super versatile for everybody.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously I carry around a lot more than just 2 bowling balls with me, but like, unless I'm bowling on dirt, like you were saying, I will probably be able to strike with a Phase 2 or a Phase 3 on most anything.
Yeah.
And that's from 2 balls. That's pretty sick.
Yeah.
So there's one thing, I know you've talked about this with the Wild Streak some, but the Phase 3 also feels pretty workable. Like, I can get around it and really get the ball to float and then, come back with a vengeance. But that trap trick that I was talking about that I used on Thanksgiving Eve, like, it responds pretty well to that. And it's still a substantial directional change. It's still even more than like an air mode if I'm getting around it.
Yeah.
But it is still kind of able to control that directional change a little more. And it's got a lot of tweakability while still being very true to itself, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, speaking of the Wild Streak, we'll go on ahead and start talking about that. Obviously, the Phase 3 comes out on December 13th. It's 2 weeks from today is release date for the Phase 3, and everybody's really excited about it. The staffers love it. The staffers are scoring with it. So that's amazing. But
yeah, I'm probably ordering a case on release day of the Phase 3 just to stash because it's that good.
Yeah, I'm ordering several more myself. So they're going to be.
I don't think I can say much else to recommend it than that.
Yeah, and that's one big thing that I've said, and probably resonates a little bit. You keep yourself in bowling balls quite a bit. I mean, before you became a staffer, you bought quite a few of them to begin with. But the key thing that I can tell people is that, staffers are going to say mostly positive stuff most of the time about bowling balls. You have a few of them. I do it, you do it. Ken McFall's another one that stays pretty technical and straightforward about ball reaction. If there's something bad to say about it, he's going to say it. We're going to say it. But at the same time, how you can tell what's good is what the staffers have in their bags. You can see what they put on Facebook, or you can see what they put on YouTube, but the stuff that you see on Facebook is, say, I shot this with this ball in a tournament, or I shot this with that ball in a tournament. And so you can really tell what's good by what they're actually throwing, and you're going to see a lot of staffers actually throwing the Phaze 3.
Yeah, and especially, too, it's like if you see someone over an extended period of time throwing a ball, then you know that it's really, really good. Like, I'm on my 5th Phaze 2.
Yeah.
Because I wore out the first 4 because I throw it that much.
Yeah.
And most of those were pre-staffer days, too. Like, the ball is just flat out that good for me.
Yeah.
So it's like, even, and, I hate to bring this up, but the Timeless is an example where you saw some usage of it early on. I mean, the first week it was out, Belmo won the players with it.
Yeah.
And then almost made the TOC show the next week with that ball again, which is, pretty remarkable run to get that close twice in a row.
Yeah.
But you did see it kind of fall off a little bit after that versus stuff like the Idols, the Phaze 2, the IQ Emerald has, considering small cores don't play on tour, the IQ Emerald has seen a surprising amount of usage.
Yeah.
So you look for what you see consistently a lot. Looking at other brands, Venom Shocks, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
That longevity is a kind of a metric to cut through the quote unquote staffer bias that it's kind of easy for us to slip into.
Yeah. So, all right, now that we've talked about the Phaze 3, we'll talk about something completely different from the Phaze 3 reaction-wise, which is the Wild Streak. And I put my thoughts out there pretty clearly. So, what do you see out of the Wild Streak?
That is a really, really, really interesting ball. So I've obviously got a pretty high rev rate, but I've got a lot of ball speed too. I'm usually 20 to 21 miles an hour off the hand. And so because of that, like, higher RG cores tend to not play very well for me.
Yeah.
Just because I like to see the ball hook up and go and roll through the pin to not kind of that slower response, like really lopey type of shape. Like, think about, like, if you put a slow response layout on a high road, for example, it can get kind of lopey and slow and blendy. That type of motion doesn't usually play well in a lot of situations for me. And that's why I've been impressed with the Wild Streak, is it's got that shape, but it still, like, goes through the pins. Even on my home center has a 50-foot, 18 mil house shot.
Yeah.
Which is about as dumb as it sounds.
Yeah.
It is very interesting to bowl on. But when I've been testing my Wild Streak out there, it doesn't like to see a ton of friction, but I can just kind of roll it and trap it at the 3-6 pocket. And if I do that and I trust it, it always hits the pocket. It usually goes through the pins well, too. There's something I've always said about urethane, is it requires you have to be patient with the ball. You have to kind of wait on it, let it fall, roll it off your hand, get it into the lane, give it time to do its thing. If you do that, it rewards that, but if you don't, then it doesn't. And I feel a lot of those traits in the Wild Streak as well, just in a reactive resin package. It's not necessarily a ball that I'm going to put in my house shot bag, just because usually with the environments I'm in, I'm pretty high average. I don't need to be hitting pocket and getting 9. I need to be striking 9 times a game to make money.
Yeah.
And that's, as strange as this is actually a compliment, that is not the Wild Streak's A game.
Yeah.
But it's already in contention for a spot in my bag for Reno out at Nationals next year. Yeah. Because it lets me just kind of roll the ball, be nice to it, get it to the spot, and notice it's going to walk back to the pocket, not flip over instantly. And that's that level of control, combined with a cover that can still read the pattern and not, slide 5 feet past the pattern before it starts to think about picking up. It's an interesting package, but it's one that's been surprisingly fun to throw. That was the one that I wasn't sure about when I ordered the Wild Streak and the MVP Pro.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing, or more specifically for me, about the Nationals team patterns, because it plays, even though it's normally 39-ish, 40-ish, 41-ish feet, so it's a medium length, but it's also pretty high volume, like 28, 29 mils most of the time, which makes it feel a lot shorter than it actually is because the ball's just going to hydroplane for 40 feet and then it's going to hit friction and it's going to turn sideways. And so normally you think something with, okay, lower RG, smoother cover like IQ Tour to, to get you that mid lane stability before it hits the end of the pattern, and then something blendy off the end of the pattern. But at the same time, the Wild Streak kind of turns that around and flips it on its head a little bit because the cover is really interesting. I don't know much about that cover, but the cover makes up for, I think, the higher RG kind of weaker core. The cover is so remarkably consistent that I think that's what really drives the Wild Streak more than the core. But the core is going to let the ball get down the lane. The cover is going to be blendy off friction, but you're not going to have that kind of early over under that you can have with a stronger, earlier, rollier ball.
Yeah, like if you were to put the idle core in that cover,
oh man,
honestly, that cover feels very much in the same vein as like a Phase 2 idle pro type of strength front to back.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'd be willing to wager you put the idle core inside that cover.
Yeah,
it would probably feel kind of in that same reaction space.
Yeah, like it. Yeah,
but because it's got that that really lopey core, which I think is a modified version of the Nomad core or something like that.
Yeah,
which I never threw any of those.
I didn't throw the Nomads either.
Yeah, but because it's got such like a lopey, slow response, like rolly, like lopey but rolly but not flippy core, like I think that helps it blend out a lot while still letting the traction do its thing from the cover.
Yeah, and I think I can't remember what Schlemmer said about it. It kind of sounded like it had a little bit of the nano formula in it. Microtracks for
I can see that.
Yeah, for Microtracks for Rotogrip is basically NRG. There's some different additives and some different formulations. It's not straight NRG, especially like they said it the idle cover was a super strong NRG formula. So, but yeah, the cover is so remarkably controllable and consistent that I think that you can, again, go the opposite direction. You're going to have something that still blends the end of the pattern, but doesn't make the ball want to go so soon or so quickly. So you're still going to have mid lane control, and you're going to have the control off the end of the pattern. You're also going to have the directional control from that core, and so it's really interesting to think about when you're thinking about, I'm going to take a high RG ball to nationals and use that on the team pattern. Like, that sounds backwards, but it's so easy to see that really working well with this ball.
Yeah, not just on the team pattern, but on the team pattern. Like, that's just, like, totally opposite day, Batman. Like, what the heck?
Yeah, something that you can use on the fresh and be scoreable with at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. The other way I could think to describe the Wild Streak is, I was looking at this a little bit today. Mine, so I have the same layout on my Wild Streak and my Phase 2. Mm-hmm. Both are at 55 by 4.5 by 35, which is a pretty normal pin above the bridge type of layout for me.
Yeah.
They actually hook in about the same spot front to back.
Uh-huh.
The difference is the Phase 2, and I'm guessing this is a combination of core and cover. The Phase 2 definitely picks up and goes more, and is a little more dynamic, a little more defined, bigger change of direction.
Yeah.
Versus the Wild Streak feels like a really muted, it turns into it reads in the same spot as like a Phase 2, but then it turns into like a really lopey IQ Tour with 300 games on it type of reaction.
Yeah.
Down lane, but with the consistency and not having to worry about a half dead cover, randomly squirting on you.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah, so
it's something that I'm continuing to tinker with, and when I throw it, it's a lot of fun. So.
Yep, I've got a couple of. Say what?
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say I've got a couple of sport tournaments coming up in December that I'm gonna take it to, and we're gonna see. I don't know what the patterns are yet, but I haven't been able to actually test it on something sport yet. Gauge is kind of sport-like as far as reaction attributes go. It's like a sport pattern with more room on it, but. I'm going to be able to actually test it on some sport patterns here in December, so we'll see what it's see what it's all about.
I could see it being if you're in a place where the fronts hook a lot, no matter what pattern they put down, then I could see it being somewhat vulnerable to that. But if you're in the National Bowling Stadium or at South Point or something like that, at Nationals, where there's a lot of volume, it's synthetic lanes that aren't super high friction, and they don't see a ton of traffic, so there's going to be hold in the front part of the lane. If you're in a situation like that, something like the Wild Streak is going to be stupid good.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so that's Mr. James Kniffen's thoughts. Once again, go see, if you like what you hear, go check out his channel. You're finishing up some videos, and I think you've got MVP Pearl and Wild Streak videos coming here in the near future, and kind of targeting release date for the Phase 3. You like to play with stuff a little bit more and spend a little bit more time with it to get a better idea what it does, not just out of the box, but what it does as it shines up or as it breaks in or whatever else. So you're going to have a pretty complete video by the time you actually get something out.
Yeah, that's the idea. Is like, obviously guys like you and Tam are really good at getting an initial read of a ball, and picking out what it does, but still getting that information out early. That's not really like that. That's a space that is already replete with information.
Yeah. And
so the way I'm approaching it, well, number one, it's the way I think about bowling balls in the first place. It's like whenever I tell someone to get a Phase 2, I tell them to not judge the bowling ball for the first 20 games they're throwing it, because out of the box, that thing is stronger than a physics.
Yeah.
But once you get past that break-in period, it honestly becomes almost unrecognizable in terms of how different it is. But that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. Because once it settles down, it's a strong yet controlled, windy, climby, benchmarky type shape.
Yeah.
And so kind of using that same concept, I've had a few weeks to tinker with the Wild Streak and the MVP Pearl. I've learned a lot even in the last few days about those balls that I didn't know a week ago, just from my own experience with that. And so that'll kind of let me build out kind of my perspective on the ball and fill out the space of the knowledge base out there, essentially.
Yeah.
So, I actually did a shot for the MVP Pearl and the Wild Streak today, compared them to the MVP and the Phase 2, respectively.
Cool.
Some of those differences I was talking about with the Wild Streak and the Phase 2, you'll be able to see that on lane and see what it actually looks like.
Yeah.
And so you'll be able to see some of those differences. So I'm hoping to have those videos out probably either Sunday or early next week is my goal for those.
Cool. Yeah.
So yeah, thanks a bunch for having me on, Luke. It's been fun.
Oh yeah, thanks a bunch for being on with me. I think that this might be a regular thing. So that could be.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, be a lot of fun. Once again, check out James Kniffen Jr. Shimwrecker Enterprises on YouTube. It's going to be a channel that you don't want to miss. So if my channel is one that you don't want to miss, and Tamer, and you have some of them that you hit pretty regular, James is definitely going to be one that you're going to want to hit too. So go check that out. Go subscribe, turn on your notifications, so when he does release stuff, it'll give you a notification and you can go check it out. So, all right, we're going to let you get back to your chat here, or my chat. But yeah, what else were you going to say?
Yeah, I was just going to say I just posted a link to my intro video in the chat for people to check out as well.
Cool,
so
yeah.
It's kind of here's how just to kind of see a little more of how I approach ball motion and arsenal building. So
yeah,
hope you all check that out.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, everybody check out that link in the chat there, and I will put it once this uploads, the chat disappears, so I will be sure to put it in the description of the video once this uploads as a video. So all right, we're going to let James get off. He'll be in the chat for questions. I'm going to catch up on questions because I think I have a crap load of them. So I'm going to catch up on that, and then I have some more stuff to talk about. So,
sounds good. Well, you have fun with that. I'll be in the chat.
Yeah.
Talk to you later, Luke.
All right. Thanks, man. See ya.
Later.
All right. So that was Mr. James Kniffen with his thoughts, and he's been really helpful to me to have. He kind of manages. If you've been to several of these live streams, you see him in the chat. He kind of manages the chat for me while I'm rambling about stuff, and he's been a really big help to bounce ideas and thoughts and stuff on in my in the Discord chat server. So That's been a lot of fun. I'm going to try to catch up with questions now. So sorry for all those people that have asked questions 30 minutes ago that probably have left by now, but I'm going to answer questions now. So, yeah. Chris Ramones, I'm looking for something between my idol and MVP. I love both these balls. I have an idol pro, but it seems similar to my original idol. Yeah, kind of. Tried to polish it, but it got too responsive. So, yeah, definitely. So something between your idol and MVP. Depends on what you want, but Island, it's kind of funny because I would instantly think like all road or high road, but the MVP is stronger than both of those. So I would actually say something like an IQ Emerald, because if your Idol Pro is a little too responsive down the lane, the Emerald is going to fit in there pretty nicely, I think. It's going to be closer to the MVP in terms of shape. Well, actually, you got Idol, and then you had an Idol Pro. If you got an Idol Pearl, and kind of similar to what James was saying about the Phaze 2, everybody keeps asking me, well, what's like the Marvel Pearl? Well, that's the Idol Pearl, but after like 30 games. So you've got to give it a break-in period, because beforehand, it's pretty snappy on friction. Well, once the cover breaks in a little bit, the friction response slows down a little bit, and so it puts it into like fresh Marvel Pearl territory, where the Marvel Pearl started out pretty smooth and controllable for a Pearl, but when it broke in, it got a little too smooth and a little too slow. The Idol Pearl starts out longer and flippier, but then it settles right into that perfect, fresh Marvel Pearl type reaction, and it stays there. So that's awesome. So you might look at if you want something a little bit smoother, slower response, IQ Emerald would probably be the safest one to go with. So I'll be able to stay further right with the Phaze 2. Luke's been saying the P3 looks great going down the lane, but I shot 819 for 4 games today, and I just couldn't get myself to put it down. Yeah, that's going to be a common problem. So, Alpha Crux, yes, it's been discontinued for a while. So, my wife has been handling James' duties in the chat. So, thanks a bunch for that, Angel. Discussion. Just got a statement, hybrid than Phaze 2. My next down ball, I have a code red and it's old, looking to replace the red. That's kind of tough. I would probably go Astrophysics. Is probably going to be the closest thing you can get to it, because it's got a similar cover formula. So the Astrophysics is going to be a little longer and flippier than the Code Red, but they've got the same cover formula, so I think it's going to be familiar enough that you can get by with it. Skimming. Oh boy, now it jumped. The Bowler Show stopped in too, Mr. Dave Waswo. I mentioned you earlier. Yep, the Bowler Show is in the house. Sorry I missed you. If you're not still here, I'll send you something later and say hi. Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate it. Mr. Waswo and Mr. Adamski run a pretty awesome tournament series in Kansas City, and they keep track of points throughout the year, and so they have at least one tournament a month, and then they have tournaments on holidays, and they have some doubles tournaments, they have some charity tournaments, they have a bunch of different stuff that they do. So they run 25-ish to 30-ish tournaments a year, all big high turnout stuff, and they keep track of points throughout the year. And so then at the end of the year, they set aside some of the money from the earlier tournaments, and if you are in the top 36 in points for the year, they have a special tournament for you that's a free entry, and everybody that bowls the tournament gets paid. So you just pay your side action if you want to pay side action. If not, you walk in for free and walk out with something. Doesn't matter how bad you bowl. And then they also have a grand finale tournament that's closer to Christmas in December, and if you've bowled at least 4 of their tournaments, you have to bowl at least 4 of their tournaments to make the grand finale, and if you bowled 10 of their tournaments, you get a free entry to that. So that's it's really cool what they do, and really, really appreciate having something to go bowl so frequently other than just league all the time. And so even if you're practicing in the summer or not bowling league, they still have tournaments throughout the summer. So they do tournaments all year round. And they travel to different places around Kansas City, and they get out to Lawrence, which is a little bit closer to me, but I like going to most of the places in Kansas City too. So it's fun to both travel around and be on different sport patterns and just have something to bowl. And most of the regular ones are like $60-$70 six gamers, and so you don't have to spend a whole lot, and it doesn't take up the entire day. And then their bigger tournaments for the holiday tournaments are usually $80-ish to $100 and 8 gamers, but it's perfect for a holiday when you just want to pick a day out to go bowl when you don't really have to do anything else. So for those of us fortunate to not have to work on holidays anyway, I realize that there's still plenty of people out there to have to work on holidays, but I was one of those persons for like 15 years, so I do very much know what that's like. I just finally got on like a regular day job with holidays and stuff off in the last couple of years. So, yes, Bowler's Show, Mr. David Waswo. Idle Pearl. Should I add an Idle Pearl as my last ball? And any Idle Pearl is perfect. I find it kind of funny that I keep ordering them. I keep ordering them, and they keep going places. I actually traded a fellow staffer he wanted an Idle Pearl, and he had an Intense Fire that I really wanted, so made that work out. So, yeah, there's no real way to say this in the printed word. The Phase 3 is far and above any recent release. As remote control, it gets to flush on bad shots, buy one now or be behind. Pretty much. I mean, the Phase 3 is just amazing, and this is a little bit past. It's a little bit past staffer hype. It's one of those things where staffers kind of hype stuff up, and then if it doesn't do so great, they kind of disappear and don't answer messages. This is going to be one of those balls where everybody's going to be like, I mean, I'm just going to talk it up, and you're not going to be disappointed. So I don't have anything. This is one of those where we don't have anything to worry about on this one because it's obviously awesome. So some of them you just know. So, yeah, Bowler's Show factual statement is very factual. Watch the fat guy with a little talent averaging a meager 217 on the year, shoot 802 the other night with 31 strikes. It's sick. Interesting. This kind of sounds like a Tom Patton type quote there. Yeah, the bowling chat. R3S hybrid on the high road core. Yeah. We're checking out the P3 in place of my Idle Pearl for this league. It's not an in place of. The Idle Pearl and Phase 3 have some overlap, but they do different things, which puts them in wildly different zones for me. So, whoops. There we go. The Phase 3 will handle carry down the best of any shiny ball out there, and I can say that without a doubt. I mean, that's just it's such, I don't know how it manages to be so clean up front, but also get through the oil so well. So no shiny ball is going to be actually good on carry down, but the Phase 3 is going to be better than any other shiny ball out there, period, on carry down. I think that's a pretty factual statement. So I think you may have touched on this in your comparison videos, but the P3 going into one of your essentials bags, yes. I actually kind of took some video at Tulsa over the weekend, and I don't think it's going to end up being a vlog because what happens is I get to bowling, and since it's not like a Brad and Kyle thing, Angel will kind of go around and get some video for me, but it feels a little weird going around to a house shot tournament and taking video for YouTube. With the Ballards being there, it was a different story. She went down and got some video from that, so that was a little different story. That's video worthy, but I have a hard time with that. That seems a little egotistical. If I was out on the PBA tour and there was something really interesting to show people, that's a different story. But just kind of filming my own little forays at a house shot tournament seems a little weird. So I can't really get into it. I'm sure people would be interested, but I can't get into it. But going back to the question after rambling for 2 solid minutes, the Phaze 3 is hopping. It hopped right into my first bag. So what happened is it displaced my Idol Pro into the second bag. So in my top essentials bag now, I've got the Phaze 2, the Idol Pearl, and the Phaze 3. My second bag now is ProMotion, Idol Pro, Intense Fire number 1, and then High Road T and Halo Burn in my kind of oh heck bag. So there is going to be a fairly sizable shakeup in my sport essentials bag. Obviously, the Phaze 2 and the Idol Pearl, the Phaze 2, Idol Pearl, and ProMotion are going to be in that in some capacity. But there's going to be some other balls that don't make my house bag that are going to be in my tournament bag. So there is going to be some disparity or some difference between the two collections. So yeah, Code 1 has our R4S. Love that to come to the US. We did have R4S on the Fight and Street Fight. Other than that, we haven't seen it. Yeah, other than that, we haven't seen it. But we might possibly see that in the near future. I'm hoping, of course, that we see a whole lot more R3S, and I think we will because of how popular the Phaze 3 is going to be. I think that pop some eyes wide open at HQ, and I think we're going to see more of that stuff. I would expect the next shiny Premier Line release to be R3S Pearl or Hybrid, one or the two, and I think that they could get away with that perfectly on the physics. If they put R3S Hybrid on the physics, even though we had Energy Hybrid on the physics, or on the atomic core, the physics core, and we had R2S Pearl on the astrophysics, if you put R3S Hybrid on the atomic core, I think that you have still a completely different reaction from either the physics or the astrophysics that would technically overlap in terms of cover type being, we'd have 2 hybrids and a Pearl with a couple of them shiny, but I think that the cover would still differentiate it quite a bit. And we had 2 solids here recently, so unless he digs back and goes, maybe we get a Crux. Maybe we get another Crux, an R3S Hybrid Crux would be amazing, I think. Anyhow, questions? Man, this keeps skipping. I would not say that the Gravity Evolve is stronger than the Halo Vision. Stronger in terms of traction, yes. In terms of overall package, not quite. Spec is definitely awesome. Yeah, the High Road T, I'm ordering a new High Road Pearl because I want to see what the difference is. The High Road T right now reads a little bit cleaner and a little bit sharper on friction. The High Road Pearl is a little bit rounder, so the color difference does do something. But I want to see, I haven't used this layout on literally any other ball. I was trying to decide how to lay out the T, and I thought, well, I need to do something different with it. And I ended up on kind of like a hybrid layout that I haven't done on literally anything else. The pin is below the ring finger, which makes it like a 4 3/4 inch pin, but because it's also pinned down, it's still probably a 4.5 pin buffer. But normally with something like that, the pin's in the ring, or if I go pin down, it's below the bridge. So going directly beneath the ring is a subtle change, but it's enough. It's actually a really good ball motion. Okay, so Hustle Inc. is awesome. Oh man, I'm down to the... let's see. As a woman, I really appreciate your perspective. Very much needed a rare perspective for us bowlers that don't have a ton of speed or revs. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Angel's stuff is a little slower coming out because she doesn't get everything. And when balls come out, they automatically ship me one so that I have time to make the videos for it. So, so when we do something for Angel, I have to wait until the staffers can order them, and then sometimes she doesn't get them. She doesn't need or really want absolutely everything. Now, some of the others, Jillian, if you want to check out some other women that are doing stuff too, Kari Brunner is pretty good. She's made a few videos. Cassie Williamson Shumate is a good one to check out, and then DH Bowling, Haley Lundy. They have her and Darren Alexander on the same video, so you have both a man and a woman in the same video. So there's some other female perspectives that you're right, we don't typically see that kind of stuff. Most of it's get left, rip the cover off of it, and watch it throw pins around, and which is most of the time really cool, but doesn't help people out a whole lot because most people don't do that with the ball. So just from a female perspective, I think it's important to have people that look familiar to you or that you can identify with, but it's also helpful for everybody else out there that just throws the ball like that, which most people do. So can you do a comparison video on the Crux Prime versus Gravity Evolve? Probably not a specific comparison, but I did talk about them quite a bit in my regular Evolve review. And so what I would do in a specific comparison is just kind of expand on that, or maybe spend a little bit more time basically talking about the same things. But I think that, yeah, I think that if you were to check that out, again, if you go back and watch my Gravity Evolve video again and just key in on the Crux Prime stuff, I really wouldn't say much more in a specific comparison video. If you're a two-hander, would you buy the P2 or the P3? Have all the idles, Supersonic, and the Fever Pitch? If you can throw all the idles and the Supersonic and you're a two-hander, you could really go with either of them. I think that this is the one thing that if I could choose, somebody asked me to choose just one Phase 2 or Phase 3, I would have to choose the Phase 2 just because it's more versatile from an all-around standpoint. Like James was saying earlier about if I could go anywhere just on a house shot and take one ball, the MVP Pearl kind of allows you to cover the most amount of possible situations. And I would say going into something blind, or if I could just choose one ball, I would go Phase 2 because I can see the use in more situations. The Phase 3 is incredibly good at what it does, but it's got a little bit more limited window or a smaller scope of use than the Phase 2 does. So, oh boy. It's 2 a.m. You're making mac and cheese when the urge to bowl hits you. The only place to go is a basketball court or a 24-hour gym as a lane, and 10 4-pound dumbbells as pins. What balls do you bring? Definitely nothing that I want to throw into dumbbells. And if we're on I do have a pitch black that I drilled. I actually drilled a urethane ball and it hasn't made it out. I've got to remember that when I go to bowl in these tournament shots. Is I actually drilled a pitch black before the wild streak came out, before I knew about that, or else I probably wouldn't have done that. So Ernesto, $10 for the cause. Keep up the great work. Much love, duty calls. Thanks a bunch. I really appreciate it. And that's something I'm going to touch on here in. Like I said, I do have a few other things that I wanted to talk about. So, yeah. Let's see. Angel doesn't like purple balls, so yeah, she's not gonna have a wild streak. Yeah, James mentioned stronger front-to-back motion down lane. Can you explain this versus left to right? It's kind of tough to... Front-to-back is basically how early the ball starts going. So the MVP Pearl is, because it rolls so heavy, generally something that rolls heavier is going to be stronger front-to-back. Like the Supersonic is a great example of a ball that's crazy strong front-to-back, but not very strong side-to-side. Crux Prime is also another example of something that's really strong front-to-back, but not side-to-side. Phase 3 is an example of something that's not terribly strong front to back, but it's really strong side to side. The stuff that's stronger side to side covers more boards generally, and the stuff that is stronger front to back, generally rolls earlier, and because it's doing what it does earlier, it's going to be a little bit smoother down lane. And so the balls that you normally keep your angles closed with, like I'd say that the ProMotion is really strong front to back, but it just doesn't do much side to side. There's not a big change in direction of angle. So balls like the IQ Tour Emerald are stronger front to back than they are side to side. The Idol Pro is kind of a blend. It's kind of strong front to back, but it's also kind of strong side to side too. The original Idol is stronger front to back than it is side to side. Phase 2 is kind of a nice blend like the Idol Pro. So typically quicker response stuff that covers more boards that sharper on friction is going to be stronger left to right than it's going to be front to back. That's kind of the short and easy answer. So thanks a bunch again, Ernesto. Really appreciate it. That's something I'm going to talk about in a minute, actually. Smoothest ball you've ever thrown, mine would be the IQ Tour Solid. Mine might be the Supersonic, honestly. I mean, it's just slow and chuggy, chuggy. That's not urethane. IQ Tour Solid, I can still get a lot of boom out of my IQ Tour Solid. But yeah, the Supersonic's crazy slow. Crazy slow. Yes, I actually drilled urethane because I did so terribly at Nationals. Even with a pin down IQ Tour, it just wasn't getting it done. So, yeah, Rotogrip Uproar, I just got one for free. Oh, yeah. The Uproar and the MVP are kind of similar. The MVP is like an Arrow stronger Uproar, but they're kind of familiar. Phase 2 versus Idol. Phase 2 is a little longer, a little more shaped down lane. The Idol is pretty round throughout the entire lane. And it's a rounder. The Idol is like a really super huge IQ Tour Solid. It's just got that round continuous motion all the way through. The Phase 2 has more definition of shape, and it's more of a windy climbing finish to it. And the Idol hooks a little bit more than the Phase 2 does, but it's more shape differences with those two. And the Idol is just stronger from a traction perspective. So I think that the Phase 2, once you shine the Phase 2, you can play more of the lane with it. The Idol likes to stay straighter, but as you saw with Francois Lavoie won the U.S. Open again, just kind of pitching it and letting it roll. Everybody else was having issues with over-under, and he wasn't, because the Idol was reading through the pattern and then really blending the back end of it well when nobody else could get anywhere close to the look that he had. So really early and blendy, but at the same time, the Phase 2 is a little bit more versatile and user-friendly. All right, so we're going to talk about the next thing. We got to our guest, James Kniffen. A little bit of content direction and kind of some likes and dislikes. So there's a few people that have been commenting lately. It's like, oh, wow, you're pumping out a bunch of stuff. I'm putting out a lot of videos, and they say, well, I appreciate it, but don't burn yourself out. Obviously, there's a lot of work that goes into this. There's a lot of expense and time and whatever else that goes into making videos. And, everybody's concerned about me burning myself out. And actually, the new computer we got renders stuff so much quicker, and the software crashes at so much lower of a rate than it used to. It's actually quite a bit easier to put together videos. And the other thing was that I've always been one of these people who thought, you know what, there's a lot of people out there who have a lot of experience, they have a lot of knowledge, they have a lot of wisdom, and so I am going to try to listen to as many people as I can. I've always thought that, if kids would just listen to their parents and have like a 20-year head start on life, instead of getting to 15 or 16 thinking that they know everything and they got it figured out, and then spend the next 15 years being an idiot, only to get to 30 or 35 and realize, oh, guess what, mom and dad were right, now I've got to start over from scratch, when I could have just been smarter when I was younger. And I thought, you know what, that's the best way to do it, is to listen to people and go the direction that pick a smart direction to go. But sometimes the smart direction isn't your direction. We're all individuals. We all got our own strengths, and you can see that some of the most successful people in history have gone their own direction, no matter if it sounded smart at the time, if it was something that seemed the best choice or the wisest choice or the safest choice. or whatever else. And so there for a while or for most of my life really, whether I've thought that, I really feel strongly about doing this or doing that, sometimes it's got me in trouble. But that's kind of how you learn. You learn how to, it's hard to learn sometimes when you don't experience something versus just being told. But at the same time, I've also lost out or missed out on a whole bunch of opportunities when if I'd have just done what I really felt like I needed to do, it would have been so much better than trying to go the smart direction instead of the direction that I knew I should have gone. And that's what kind of burnt me out on videos for a while, is because I was listening to, I'd put out there and say, well, what videos do you want me to make? What do you want to see? What should I make? And it was really making videos suck. I didn't like making, obviously the equipment thing was a different story, but I really didn't like making videos because I wasn't making what I wanted to make. And I thought, well, you know what, if I make what I want to make and people don't like it, then they're not going to watch, and then I'm going to be spending a bunch of time making a bunch of crap that nobody's going to watch, and my channel is going to kind of go downhill, and there's too much money, or there's too much expense, and there's too much time wrapped up in it to make videos that people don't want to watch. But at the same time, I just pretty well didn't make a whole lot of videos because it was so wretched that I just didn't want to do it. And so I kind of, after some talks with my wife repeatedly getting after me about it, and then James got on me about it too, about it's like, look, man, the whining's getting old, the crying and the bitching's getting old. Just, do what you want to do and say the heck with everybody. Because I'd get a bunch of positive comments, and I'd get one nasty gram or something, and I'd really take it to heart because I'm like, well, I'm doing what you want me to do. I'm doing what you asked me to do. I'm trying to do all this stuff, and it just wasn't fun. It was awful. And I think that, if you are staying in your own lane, if you're doing what you're good at, if you're doing what you want to do, if you're doing what you should do, that comes through. And I think that you can tell that I'm making videos, I'm enjoying what I'm making now, and they're actually working out too. But before, I think it was pretty obvious to tell when I was just faking it or going through the motions, or just, please just get this crap done so I can go forget that I actually do this. And I put something out to that end. I put a comment in the community tab and said, you know what, I've seen some of the dislikes on the videos, which I get so many more likes than I get dislikes, so it's not that big of a deal. But if somebody leaves a dislike on a video, I want to know why that is. I want to know, did you not like the video? And then I tried to explain the YouTube algorithms and said, well, it's like based, it's not view based. And so if you dislike the video, then dislike it. Please don't dislike a video if you don't like the ball, because that's not giving me any actual feedback. The dislike button is for if you dislike the video. If you dislike the ball, that's out of my, there's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing for me to do about that. And then, a couple people got mad because they thought that I was trying to farm for likes or views or whatever else, and that's totally not even it. If you leave a dislike, also leave a comment and say, well, I didn't like this about the video. I actually had, I used to get quite a bit of constructive criticism. I made a couple of videos that had kind of some lightning effects and whatever else, and somebody said, well, I've got, this kind of stuff. I'm sensitive to flashing lights and they can cause seizures, and so I just can't watch this video. And so I disliked it. And I'm like, oh, well, that's perfectly acceptable. You left a dislike because you actually disliked something about the video, which is perfect. And then you told me what it was. That's helpful. That tells me exactly what I need to do. So if you dislike the video, go ahead and dislike it. Just tell me why you dislike it. I'm not farming for likes, and I'm not telling you not to dislike the videos. I just want to know why that is so that I can actually fix it. And also, to another end, I get a little wound up when somebody, it's one of those welcome to the internet things, but when somebody gets upset or puts a pissy comment, I kind of take it to heart, because I think that I've got this really crazy, stupid idea that you can explain things to people and that you can rationalize with people and have logical and thoughtful, calm debates and come to some kind of an understanding, and that's just not possible with some people. And so I've blocked some people, and they weren't happy about it. But that ultimately helps out the channel and keeps that nastiness from affecting you too. So I am kind of going more my own direction. I'm not going to... And I did post something asking for videos that you wanted to make, and that was a predictable disaster. So I'm probably not going to do that again. But I've gotten quite a few great reactions and great suggestions just organically, and so that's kind of the direction I'm going to go, is just keep making stuff that I want to make and accepting the certain... accepting the good suggestions when I get them. So appreciate that. I did want the Uncut reviews. There's been a lot of Ebonite started doing these, which are actually really cool at surface value. And there's quite a few other people that have done these Uncut reviews where they basically don't edit out anything. So they just turn on a camera and they throw the ball, and they talk about it in between shots, and it's really cool because it's very organic. It's very transparent. You can't hide anything, so there's no manufacturing of, oh my god, this ball sucks, but I can cut out all the shots that didn't strike and try to do my staffer thing and sell it anyway. The downfall to that is that you're taking a ball that's fresh out of the box and throwing like 10 to 15 shots with it and trying to develop an opinion about it. And as James and I talked about, that's not really super possible. Now, most of the time, people develop opinions very quickly. Initial impressions of a ball are very important. So I think that that's when the Uncut reviews are incredibly helpful, is that they're showing you exactly in consecutive order the first the first game or so out of the box with the ball, which is very helpful to tell you, this is exactly what you're going to get. And we're going to see what it does, what it doesn't do. But at the same time, especially on balls that have surface on them, that surface is going to shine up in 3 games. It's just going to happen. And so the ball is going to change quite a bit as it shines up. And then as you get some more use on it, the reaction is going to change even more. So that's where what James is going to do with his stuff, he's going to get 30 games on something before he reviews it, so he knows exactly what's going on with that ball. I run kind of a hybrid between that. Most of the time I film for about 30 minutes at each center, and I'm throwing a shot every 25 to 30 seconds. So I'm throwing 10-ish games with, 10 to 15 games most of the time. And sometimes I stay around and bowl more with them just to get a better idea. Like the Phaze 3, all the deeper shots, I got my typical second, third, fourth arrow type deal, and I thought, well, fourth arrow, there's so much more I can get with this ball, and so that's why I kept with it at gauge center. I actually turned the camera back on after I got all the footage that I wanted, and I thought, well, I'm just going to play around with it and see what happens, and it looked better than I thought it was going to look. And so there's sometimes some things that can surprise you. Reaction does change. I found out also at my second house, Gauge, that I film at, surface looks awful. And so if I have something with surface like a Gravity Evolve or a Wild Streak, I actually film the Gravity Evolve first. I actually filmed first at Gauge with surface on that and the All Road, and they both look terrible. Surface just looks awful at Gauge. And so most of the time I bowl long enough at Westridge to get some shine on something, because I can't tell what a ball's going to do. I filmed at Gauge for the Evolve, and I'm like, well, this doesn't look great. I'm not expecting much out of this. But then I'm like, okay, well, it's got surface on it, so that's probably a thing. And then it looked remarkably better at Westridge. And so most of the time I bowl long enough at Westridge to get some lane shine on the ball, and then go throw it at Gauge, so you can see both fresh cover on a fresh shot at one house, and then you can see shiny cover with lane shine at a different house and see what that looks like. So I get several things in the same video, and also bowling 10 to 15 games still does give me a really good idea, because ball reaction is going to change some in 3, 4, 5 games, and it's going to continue to change. So I don't see what the ball is going to be like at 20 or 30 games, but that's a whole lot of bowling to try to get on a ball, and obviously I work out of town, so that's not going to happen before I need to get videos up. But that's why I do the report cards, and I'm going to get back to doing those more frequently too. I kind of fell off doing those, but that was the idea behind the report cards, was that 2 months later, after I've used the ball more, or after I haven't used the ball more, we're going to revisit it and see, basically see what happened. So yeah, the uncut videos are very good to get initial impressions. But when you're just throwing a couple shots at second arrow, a couple shots at third arrow, and let's see what it does from here, whether or not you should be throwing the ball there at that surface or whatever else before it's settled in, and you're just doing it one house, and then you're formulating kind of an opinion or a review on a ball based on 10 to 15 shots. That's crazy. So an idea that I did have, and this is going to require me changing my formula a little bit, because what happens is I throw the ball at second, third, and fourth arrow just to see what I have to do to make it work. Well, most of the time second arrow doesn't work well for me at all, because I just can't play that far right on a house shot with virtually anything. Now, if it happens to look good from second arrow, well, that's going to be amazing. But if it happens to not look so good, most of the time I have to play around with it quite a bit and throw several shots to see, okay, well, it does this here and it does that there. And so when I make my videos, I do cut out several misses, but I also cut out several strikes too, if they're pretty far offline and just happen to. There's a couple of the area check shots, when I've added the area checks to the recent ones, I'm trying to line up in a spot that I'm not really comfortable in, probably shouldn't be playing at, but I'm going to see what I have to change or do to make it work here. That gives me a better idea what the ball is going to do. But the idea behind my reviews is to try to create an accurate representation of what the ball does. And so that means having to test out the limits quite a bunch, which means, what's it going to do if I play here? What's it going to do if I slow down? So it's more testing out. So there are quite a few more misses that I have in filming than end up in the video, but that's because I'm testing out a bunch of things. And if I put every single one of those shots in, most people are going to look at it and, oh, that ball sucks, that didn't strike, or that didn't whatever. Well, it's because I'm playing around with the ball motion. Now, what I had thought about doing is just doing regular filming like everybody else does and trying to line up and see what happens, and then still make my videos, because still do the videos like I normally do them, but just then upload the uncut footage as an unlisted video, not clutter up the channel with it, but add the full footage as an uncut video if you want to go check that out, just for more verification, transparency, and so that I can basically prove that I'm not trying to manufacture a ball reaction or manufacture a video by cutting out a bunch of misses and making the ball look better than it really is. I think I'm going to do that with the promotion for this video, or these couple videos that I'm going to do for it, specifically because I want to prove a point. So I'm going to at least do it for that. There's a lot of people that like the second, third, fourth arrow thing, and it's not great on my mechanics, and I have to adjust quite a few things to do it, so I'm not sure I'm going to continue to do that much. I might throw in a few shots and say, okay, well, I started here, this sucked, I moved here, and I didn't stop striking, so there's no reason to move, because that'd be dumb. So I do like the idea of using those to test the limits, but actually trying to play there and get the ball to shape and finish effectively is kind of difficult most of the time, and I think that that's a lot of the problem with my mechanics that I have, is constantly trying to force something that's not actually there. So the uncut videos are pretty good from a certain perspective, and they're pretty awful from another perspective. So it's probably not something that I'm going to get into, because I just don't think that you can. There's nothing that drives me crazier than somebody saying, hey, I bought this ball, I got 2 games on it, just didn't match up, I'm selling it now. That's ridiculous. That just doesn't make any kind of sense at all. So probably not going to do the uncut videos, but I might offer the footage as kind of an unlisted video that I would link in the description if you want to go check it out. Just if you're interested in transparency. I try to stay as transparent as possible, and I don't need a whole bunch of dead space in a video. But, you know, if you want to watch, if you want to watch 25, 30 minutes of uncut footage with me just throwing a ball at some pins, sure. But filming may not last that long if I just kind of line up and throw the ball how I throw it. I do have more 1-minute reviews coming. I just got a couple more in from the Bowling Fix that I need to do something with. And then I had an interesting concept for a super review. So basically the 1-minute reviews, I got for the Gravity Evolve and the All-Road, I got several of them. So I got some from the Bowling Fix. I got some from DH Bowling. Josh Shoemaker sent me some too. He's getting ready to, I think. But I've put a few up there, and I thought, well, if everybody sends me like a minute of them bowling with the ball, and I put that all into one review, then you can see a bunch of people with a bunch of different styles, bunch of different lane conditions, centers, whatever else, all throwing the ball in one review. And that's going to take a while to get all that put together or assembled, because, Aspen, what are you doing? That's a leaf, dummy. You're weird. Oh, eat your leaf? Okay. I'm sorry. I know, you're funny. You're just eating a leaf. So, all right, well, I have this on here. Since I already have this on here, I'm going to do a new series called Reaction Doctor. And so that's what I got the little kitty medical kit for, which is completely hilarious. So I'm not going to tell you which balls I'm going to do, but I did put something on my community tab a couple months ago and said, you know, which ball do you just not match up with? What balls are you having trouble with? And so I'm going to take the most popular ones and I'm going to make videos for those. And so I have several videos already kind of lined out for that based on the responses that I got. One of them is really surprising. Actually, the top vote getter was stunningly, just as stunning, shocking. But that's the first video that I'm going to do. And the little medical kit is for like the thumbnails so that I can have my stethoscope and, you know, my little plastic medical tools to figure out what's going on with the ball. But yeah, Reaction Doctor should be some fun. It should be actually helpful too. It should be like an in-depth episode with kind of a twist. So that should be fun. Let me check on some comments here. And yeah, there was something else. There's a few other things that I'd like to talk about that's probably a little gripey, but at the same time, it's stuff that needs to be said. Most of the time, I just kind of fly under the radar and try to create as few waves as possible, but there's some stuff that needs to be said. So, yeah, thanks for posting the Patreon and Discord stuff again. That's all fun. Yeah, bought the color changing bows, and all I can say is thanks. Yeah, those are amazing. The shoes are actually great. One gripe, I had to spend $90 on 3 slide soles after spending $220. I work in a pro shop, and I also had to spend $90. I also have to spend $30 a piece on them because they're expensive. There's literally no money to be made on the slide soles at all. Why anybody would even offer them for sale is beyond me, because they're not worth the price of doing business. If we actually sold them for what would make some money on them, it'd be $40 or $45, and at that point they still wouldn't even be worth having in there because nobody would buy them. So but yeah, and that's the one thing with the nines, is that the soles are so much more expensive that they don't put them all in the box, because most of the time most people put stuff on there and then they don't use anything else. So yeah, the soles are crazy expensive. That's the one caveat to it, but at the same time, I'm still using the same soles, and I actually got my old nines, my original nines, that are in amazing shape, and I wore these for 4.5 years, and they got a lot of traction on them with tournaments and video shoots. So I'm still using the same soles that I bought a number 9 sole and put it on there, and I took the soles off of these that I used for 4.5 years, and then stuck them on my new pair, and they're still going strong on those. I bought some backups, but yeah, they last forever. For me anyway. Once again, disclaimer there. So, if you let the ProMotion shine up, what's the difference between it and a Phase 2? There's a big difference, and there is no bigger, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about Phase 2 in depth, and then I will go ahead and spoil it. I'm doing a reaction doctor on the ProMotion too, because it's crazy. It's just super wild. It continues to change, and as I've gotten 50, 60, 70 games on it, it continues to hook less, but it's not dying. And there's a big difference between a ball hooking less and dying. Some of the best balls I've ever had, the Hammer Taboo is still my #1 ball of all time, and it was good for like 50 games, but as soon as it died after that, it was amazing. Because it was like an IQ, it was like a fresh IQ tour is basically what it turned into. Sometimes when balls die, they get really, really slow and lazy down lane, and they just hit soft and weak, and they're just not effective at all. The cover on the Taboo tamed down a lot, but it never had that dead reaction shape to it, so it was just amazing. And the ProMotion is kind of turning into that. And at first, when I drilled it, and I don't want to talk about this too much, but at first I thought, okay, well, this is going to be a Phase 2 killer, because in my original review, it hooked as much as it was just a little rounder than the Phase 2, but I thought, well, man, this acts like a Phase 2. It's pretty versatile. I can play maybe more of the lane with it when it was fresh, but then as it shined up, it kind of got into like shiny IQ Tour territory. And then as it, and then I sanded it for the Gravity Evolved video, which is a terrible idea. And then it shined back up again. Well, all of a sudden it's hooking less than an IQ Tour now. But it is the most amazing second arrow ball that I've ever thrown now. It's miles and miles removed from what it was like new. But where it landed and where it ended up, it's like a smoother Hustle Inc. now, which is just perfect. It's just amazing. So once you let a ProMotion shine up and get like 50 to 60 games on it, crazy different from the Phase 2. Out of box, pretty close. So that's going to be a really interesting video to make. I'm really actually excited about that. And I know people are going to think that, well, it's the Belmo ball, and there's people that don't like spec, and people have had trouble with it, and the community's had a bad response to it, and you're just trying to cover it up for Storm. And somebody else said, when I posted my original ProMotion review, I just totally space cadeted it and said, oh yeah, this cover doesn't absorb oil. And then Ron Hicklin did a video where he put some oil on a urethane ball on ProMotion. The ProMotion absorbed it, and they're like, well, hey, I thought you said this cover didn't absorb oil, and there was a whole tiff over that. And I'm like, well, I don't know, I didn't even say that in my Crux Prime video, so I don't know where that came from. But I amended the videos. I took the first one down. I took it completely down and amended the video and put it back up to say the right things. And then people are, oh, this ball must be doing terrible, as Storm made you already put out another, or re-release the review for it. And like, no, that has nothing to do with it. I really like the ball, and I think that the spec cover is crazy misunderstood. James doesn't match up with spec at all, but I can imagine him not matching up with it. The cover is just too slow for him. Way too slow. And people are just not going to match up with it, but I think that a lot of people not matching up with it is because of stuff they're doing wrong or not doing with it. I think it's a really amazing ball if you just let it be what it's going to be, and so that's what I keep talking about. It has nothing to do with Storm. Storm sends me a ball, and all they want's a review out of it. Anything else beyond that is it's all me, and I don't have to say anything. I don't have to kiss the ball's ass to keep a contract or something. That has nothing to do with anything. And I did want to touch on some of that because I get comments every once in a while that kind of irk me. I'll finish out the comments here, but hey, I'm looking at buying a Halo Pearl. If you have any time to talk about it for 5 minutes, would be super helpful, as well as the best places to buy. I think Shimwrecker, yeah, yes, I do have a lot of Halo Pearl content. I've got the Halo Pearl review, and then I've got the Halo Pearl compared in my Halo Vision review. I also have a strict Phase 3 versus Halo Pearl video, so there's a lot of Halo Pearl information out there. If you want to, you can always You can always send me a message on Facebook Messenger or something. Or the best way to do it is just go join Patreon, Discord, whatever else, and tag me in something on Discord, because that's our chat server. We're in there talking about stuff all the time. And even if I'm not available at the time, you've got James, you've got Bill Walker, you've got several other techie guys that are in there that can answer your question just as well or better than I can. I've also got Tamer from Tamer Bowling in my chat too. He's also got a Patreon and a Discord chat server himself, and we kind of post on both. So good place to go find information. Let's see. Yeah, I got several of those. Disclaimer. Yeah, we do all this because we care about bowlers, know that purchasing balls isn't a once-a-month purchase, and need more information. So, yeah, we try to provide plenty of information. That's something I'm going to touch on here in a second. Yes, buying a Halo Pearl, SRG BBFS, definitely. Yeah, you can, Carl, you can, I know this is probably 10 minutes since you asked that question, but yeah, if it's a bowling, or if got a bowling question, ask it. So, yep. Yeah, there's a very small list of things that I can't talk about or really shouldn't talk about. But in general, if you ask me the question, I'll talk about it. I'll probably say more than I should about it, actually. Yeah, my Crux Prime is one of the best balls I've ever thrown, and I think that, yeah, the Crux Prime has been a really good ball for me. I probably should throw it more, but I'm doing so well with my. It's hard to change what I'm doing when I'm averaging almost 240 in league. So, and the other house is just the other house. It doesn't matter what I throw there. It just sucks for everybody. So, yeah, Crux Prime's great. What are your thoughts on the Phaze 3 compared to the Hypercell Fused? It's probably along the same lines as the Halo Pearl, because the Halo Pearl is a little bit more forward off the end of the pattern. Same thing with the Hypercell Fused. Similar friction responses. Hypercell Fused is probably a little stronger overall. It hooks a little bit earlier than the Phaze 3, but it goes straighter off the end of the pattern. So the uses for the Hypercell Fused and the Halo Pearl are very similar because they have very similar shapes off the end of the pattern. The Fused is more responsive, maybe not more responsive, it's probably a little smoother, but it's still pretty clean and pretty sharp, and it's a couple feet earlier than both the Halo Pearl and the Phaze 3. So, I hear the pitter-patter of feet somewhere, maybe. Oh, so a little on the I get a lot of questions about this all the time. How do you get on staff? Do you get free stuff? Whatever else. And I hear the little digs every once in a while about, man, it must be good to get free stuff and get free bowling balls and whatever else. And like anything else in the bowling industry, this is kind of a labor of love. Nobody gets in the bowling industry to get rich, because that's just not a thing. My kind of token response to man, you must be lucky getting all that free stuff. Well, you too can get free bowling balls if you spend $4,000 on equipment and 40 hours a week making videos on YouTube. So that's kind of all I should really say about that. But I do this because I like doing it. It's always been a pro shop type approach to it. I didn't do this to get attention. I didn't really think it was going to go this far. And free balls are relative. I would make so much more money if I would just stop doing this and buy the balls I actually wanted to buy at retail. So, yeah, everybody else can, wait for something and then walk into a pro shop and buy what they want. And all they have to do is kind of wait for the guy to finish drilling it. There's so much that goes into this. I've got $2,500 to $3,000 worth of equipment sitting just right here for the video, and that doesn't just for the streaming and for the videos, and that doesn't include the $1,000 computer I just bought and the couple $100 monitors upstairs. So a little bit more than bowling balls. But and again, that's not to complain, because it's one of those things that being a staffer has its perks. It also has the not so much perks. Hi, baby. Hi. But it's more of a trade-off. So it's cool getting to get stuff early. It's cool the kind of people I've gotten to meet and get to talk to. I get to talk to the Holstenbergs and Chad McLean and Carolyn Doran Ballard is my turbo rep, and I've gotten to meet and talk to some really cool people, and that's all awesome. But it's basically a second full-time job. So spend a lot of time doing it, spend a lot of money on it, and again, not trying to complain, just trying to set the record straight a little bit. And so for anybody that thinks that the staffer life is all free balls and glamour and whatever else, it's kind of like a job. So it's fun, but you work for it. So not necessarily a complaint, just more information, a little bit more of a realization that a lot of work goes into this. But that's all the rambling I'm probably going to do about that. But I do appreciate very much all the people that watch my videos and the nice comments and all the support. It makes doing this quite a bit more worth it than it would be. But again, getting back to the pro shop angle, I just did it for... I just did it because of that's the way that I handled stuff in the pro shop. People come in and look at 40 balls on the wall and kind of get like a deer in headlights, and that's all I wanted to do. Is I hear people all the time say, well, I watched this video online about this ball, and all I saw was some guy with a 500 rev rate standing playing fourth arrow and hooking the whole lane, and he does that with every ball, and so I can't tell what the differences are between them. I thought, okay, well, if I make videos, then I can help out with that, and that's kind of the approach that I've taken to it. And part of the thing that started frustrating me with the videos way back when was listening to too many people, and I had a few people say that, oh, you think you're special because you're on YouTube, or you think that you're just trying to scam people into buying bowling balls or whatever, and none of this is advancing the sport and whatever. And it was really getting to me. But at the same time, whoa, Dougie. We're fine. We're good. $1,000 crisis averted there. Yeah. Anyhow. But not everybody wants to be a professional bowler. Not everybody wants to go out and bowl regionals. Not everybody wants to grind and bowl 3 or 4 leagues a week and get on sports stuff and spend their entire life in a bowling alley and practicing. And I don't know why that's not okay. We keep saying that we need to get people interested in the sport. We need to get people in bowling. But then you make it, so many people go out of their way to make it such a miserable experience and think that you can't just see a ball that looks good and smells good and want to go out and buy it. Well, you should be spending that money on coaching, and you should be trying to do more than just carry around 6 balls and average 170 or this, that, and the other. And it's like, well, if you're having fun bowling, that's kind of the point, isn't it? They need league bowlers. They need open play bowlers to keep all these centers afloat so that they can, and open and running well so that they can have all these tournaments for the people that want to take it more seriously. It's like everything else. You need recreational people, and it's just like tournaments. They say, well, they all need to be scratched, and they need to be on tough shots, and we can't have handicap bowlers or bad bowlers in here taking any of our money. And it's like, well, if you didn't make them more inclusionary, you wouldn't have people here with money. You'd have like 20 people here, and you'd all be fighting each other for a couple $100. So you need the people that are genuinely interested in it, and that want to go bowl and want to participate and want to do stuff and want to buy a bunch of bowling balls, so that, because the bowling ball industries or the bowling ball manufacturers support the industry quite heavily. And so you need the recreational bowlers, you need the fun bowlers, you need all this stuff to support everybody else who wants to take it more seriously. And the idea that these people are running everybody else off just doesn't make any sense. You know, I don't have any delusions of grandeur. I'm going to be chicken winging the ball on house shots for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with that because that's my wheelhouse. I don't have the time or really the energy anymore to put any more of that into it because I've got a regular 40-hour-a-week job, and I spend about 30 to 40 hours a week doing videos and answering questions and stuff. And I don't have the time to put into like a professional career, let alone the desire, because it's so tough to be out there. And that's another thing that people don't realize. I want people to come away with a good appreciation of, you know, the drive and determination and the commitment that it takes to bowl that well at that high of a level. I mean, somebody like the tour guys, professional bowling is their entire life. That's what they do, day in, day out, nights, weekends, holidays, whatever else. They got to do all that, and they got to basically put the rest of their life on hold or dedicate their entire life to doing what they do to be so good at it. And that, you know, entails a lot of commitment, a lot of sacrifice. And most people don't want to do that. They want to go to their regular job, and then they want to get off and they want to go have fun with it. They don't want to get off their regular job and then go work at a hobby or something that's supposed to be recreational, supposed to be fun. That takes all the fun out of it. So, yeah, okay. Yeah, I'm getting a little... Yeah, LaCroix sparkling lime water. So, glad she's graceful. All right, I'm going to answer some more questions. I'm probably not going to be on this too much longer because I've already been rambling forever. So, anyway, I feel like there was something else I wanted to ramble or rant about, but it's not coming to me at the moment, so which is probably a good thing. So. Ah, yes, there's a twister pin question. Okay. Luke, are you currently bowling left-handed? No, I really haven't had the time to get into it. I really haven't had the time to bowl right-handed a whole lot. And I figured some things out right-handed. I think I mentioned this last time that I had a fit issue, actually. The fit that I had was super, super comfortable. And so it's the last place I thought to look, the last place I actually did look, until I realized that I was really digging my fingers in hard one day. And I just always thought that, you know, because I've had the shoulder problems, it was just general shoulder weakness. Some days I was stronger, some days I was a little bit weaker, and what it was my span's been too short for like 2 years now. And so once I adjusted that, it's still comfortable, but it's quite a bit more functional than it used to be. And all of a sudden I'm finding out that I still have a general weakness in my shoulder, so I still can't go straight back with the ball, but I can catch it quite a bit better and more consistently at the bottom. And so, my mechanics are still pretty bad, but they're quite a bit better than they were, and they're, you know, more consistent. I can execute quite a bit more consistently now than I could before. My scores aren't really showing that too much, but there's a few things that I'm still tinkering with on the mechanics, trying to get right, because now that I can catch the ball more at the bottom, I'm trying to sneak in some more mechanical changes or improve my mechanics at the same time. And I would like to, even if I don't end up switching, I still want to learn how to bowl left-handed. The problem is that I wanted to give myself time to practice and time to switch because I have to use my right-handed average for tournaments next year. So I'm going to have to bowl scratch and everything, and if I'm not up to par, I'm going to go into a bunch of tournaments knowing that nothing is going to happen. Now, I have been in some tournaments here lately where the lefties have really killed them, and especially at the Tulsa tournament where they were dry to start off with, and then you have a bunch of righties beating up one side of the lane. There was even, you know, there was 3 lefties on our pair for one of the team squads, and it even got nasty for them. So, and there's quite a bit of the score, like Kevin Williams, Packy Hanrahan, Mike Dole, one of the Brunswick reps. They all bowled really well. They're all left-handed. They bowled pretty good in Tulsa, and so I would actually like to have the opportunity. I would like to practice up left-handed and get to the point where I can go into a tournament and decide which hand I want to use. It's something that I'm not going to go whole hog on because I still want to make sure that I don't want to ignore my right arm to, you know, focus up on my left arm. And one game is plenty enough to keep track of or keep up on, but I kind of like the option because there are some of those tournaments where I think it would be a benefit to bowl left-handed versus right-handed. So I'm not currently bowling left-handed, but I haven't gotten to practice at all in a couple months, and so I am still going to try to practice it. So what'll happen is I'll probably split my practices actually once I go out to, or when I go out to film. I'll probably just stick around and bowl left-handed a little bit. So I do need to get my lefty fit adjusted and drill a ball or two left-handed, but I've got a couple. I ordered a new IQ Tour. I'm going to drill that left-handed. And then a pro motion, actually. My pro motion that I throw lefty, man, it is so good. So I'm probably going to drill one of those. And I do have a high road pearl already that I need to re-slug, but I'm going to get a couple lefty balls and get practiced up. Once I make money, which storm ball should I get as a top ball in my bag? Honestly, I would probably get a halo. If you're going to get a strong ball in your bag and you want something more traditional, I would either get a halo or a physics. That spec cover is a little bit different. It's smoother, so a lot of people interpret it as being weaker, which it's not. But if you want more of a traditional reaction with traction, but also with some, a solid amount of shape down lane, halo and physics are probably what you're going to be looking at. I'm a speed dominant stroker, and I like balls that react fast off friction, so just rule out the spec cover pretty much. Yeah, what James said, or Shimwrecker said, yes, very much, very much so. I would go physics or something. So now I've noticed that both Westridge and Gage have twister pins. What are your thoughts on them versus traditional pins? I love, love, love twister pins. I've got the type of shot. Twister pins, you have to play different shapes down lane to really take advantage of twister pins. If you have too sharp of a shape down lane, you're going to leave 9 pins, you're going to leave stone 7s, you're going to leave 4s, you're going to leave 4 9s, whatever else. Twister pins don't like sharp angles through the pocket. Now, I'm coming to realize that twister pins are not quite as great everywhere else as they are at Westridge, because Westridge is a lot smoother reaction anyway, and which creates a rounder ball shape, and I think that carries so much better there. Some people have more problems with it because the smoother shape there makes the ball hit flatter, but I know how to offset the smoothness of Westridge, and so it balances out a sharper ball reaction. But I generally know how to get the ball through the pins the right way. I averaged 238.5 last year, and the only reason I didn't average 240 last year was because the last month of the season I shot 680 every week, and that just kind of, that's 40 pins under average every set, and so my average just kind of trickled down to 238.5. This year I'm at 237, upper 237s. I'm averaging 250 the last month with my intense fire. But yeah, I average almost 240 at Westridge on twisters. Love them. I didn't average anything better than 230. I normally 225 to 230 until they put the twisters in, and then the twisters just another 10 pins an average. So what the deal with twisters is they're a little bit more active, and the widest part of the pin is a little bit higher on twisters than it is on wooden pins too. So twisters tend to go up a bit more instead of side to side. The problem with the wooden pins is that they don't last near as long. The twister pins are a much better option for centers because they have 3-year warranties on them. And if anything happens to them, they get cut, scratched, whatever, you put it back in the box, you send it back to the manufacturer, they send you a pin. So most of the time wooden pins shouldn't be used any longer than a year and a half. And I think the wooden pins only have a year warranty on them. So from a cost standpoint, the twister pins save centers so much money that I can't imagine why you wouldn't use twister pins. I know people are going to complain about it, but bowlers have been complaining about everything for for decades, and they still bowl anyway. So a super great thing for the proprietors to put twisters in, and they carry differently, but I don't think that they carry any worse. I don't go to a center with twister pins in it and come away shooting any worse than I do at any other center. So I really like twisters. Okay, James is answering a bunch of questions there. Yeah, or just be like me and leave a 2.8 every 3 frames when bowling at Westridge. Yeah, it's just super, super smooth reaction. So it allows me to play closer to the gutter with stuff that's stronger and kind of blend everything out. I had a couple wild months with the Crux Prime and my Intense Fire and Halo Pearl. I can really, Idle Pro, I can really throw anything there and score, but it's because everything's kind of rounder. The ProMotion, not so much. Stuff that's kind of smoother to begin with. If I use strong flippy stuff at Westridge, it blends it all out nicely and still gives me the right shape down lane, and so it's great. Throwing the Gravity Evolve, I mean, if you like the Evolve at a demo day, cool. So yeah, Noah, how my coach fixed my behind the back was working on my bicep, making it stronger and using a string for every time I went behind my back, I would touch the string, telling me to bump out my arm swing. Yeah, my problem is it's kind of a wrist problem, and it's also kind of a shoulder problem. Part of it is I don't have the strength because I use the front part or the back part of my shoulder to kind of pull in the backswing. Then when I come back through, if I get my arm going straight, I don't quite have the strength in my shoulder, and because I don't have the strength in my shoulder, it kind of affects me down at my wrist too, because I haven't been using my wrist to stay behind the ball either, so I don't have those muscles developed down there. Now I'm kind of slowly getting there, but it's still pretty rough. I really should just like drill an 8-pounder or a 10-pounder and try to work with that. Now we did get some for our local association, we did get some the Eileen's Bowling Buddy training tool things, and so I think I'm going to check some of those out and maybe use some of those. Aspen, hey, no, that's a Kleenex. What are you doing? I know. She's sensitive. Yeah. Everyone but Luke agrees the all-road pops down lane. Will say on tighter stuff without friction right, it's harder to use. Mine is smooth for some reason, but I also got a defective IQ Emerald too. It hooks at 30 feet, which is crazy. So, all right, if we have any final questions, let's get those done with, and I will take off. So, happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you got some good deals on Black Friday. I got some good stuff. I don't know why. Oh, that's off center now because the dog hit the camera. So, we got a new TV for our bedroom so that we could take our bedroom TV and put that in the office where I do editing, so that I can edit and watch stuff on Flow Bowling or Bowl TV at the same time, or I can cast videos up there to look at stuff, or if I want to check something really quick, I have another screen to work with up there, and that's also something for Angel, so that she can, when she kind of keeps track of the chat like James does, they kind of help back and forth, and so it's something so Angel can work on the computer and do bills and whatever else and still watch the stream at the same time without having to flip back and forth on the computer. So that's been kind of nice. So prefer the all-road or the nano. Both of them are okay for me, but I didn't really get a whole lot of use out of the high road nano or the all-road. I'm going to start playing around with the high roads a little bit more, because the high road T was actually really amazing for me again in Tulsa. It was great in Springfield at Ozarks this year. When it has its time, it's really, really great, and I think that I've been using a lot of stuff that's a little too strong for me because I like the way it rolls. I like the rollier stuff. But man, when I can stay straighter and just give it the business at the bottom, it actually helps my execution quite a bit. So I'm gonna get another high road pearl and reslug the high road that I have and get another hustle ink, I think. So. Yeah, physics for fast response. Yep, definitely fans of the physics. Yeah, my IQ Emerald just about check marks off the lane with box finish. Mine does the same thing, it just does it at 30 feet. It's crazy. How do you build an arsenal? James is going to have a lot of... Jack. James is going to have some videos on that. Plus, Storm actually just put out a video a couple days ago about arsenal building. So, definitely go check that out. So find Storm Bowling's channel, Jack, and they just put out a really good one on arsenal building specifically. So yes, everybody's everybody's definitely going to buy the P3 when it comes out. So yeah, me and my 10 jobs let me whine like you. Wink, wink, nod, nod. Well, if everybody insinuated that your jobs were so awesome. So, yep, thanks, Gene. I appreciate it. I actually talked about ball reaction first, so you could ignore like the last hour and a half of this. Just my rambling. I put off throwing an original high road for a long time, specifically because everybody threw it and it was around forever. And I'm like, well, it's a freaking high road. I'm not going to be a hipster. And now I've had 6 of them. So once I finally broke down and did it. So yeah, all right. I think I'm gonna cut it off. Thanks everybody for showing up. I appreciate it. Like I said, I appreciate all the views, or all the support on the videos. I spend a lot of my free time and not so free time doing it, and to have the kind of response and the community and support that I do, I really appreciate it. Once again, I do this for I had no designs on being famous on YouTube or anything, but I started off doing it from a pro shop attitude, and that's how I'm going to keep doing it. And hopefully it's popular. Hopefully it helps. That helps me keep doing what I'm doing. And of course, I wouldn't be doing any of this without Storm and Turbo and SRG BBFS on Facebook, and In the Zone Pro Shops, Westridge Lanes, and Gage Bowl. They're really the only reason that I do this. So, thank you, Mr. Waswo. I'm surprised that you're still here. I've got to ramble and complain about something. I mean, I'm a bowler after all. We have to find something to complain about, no matter how great something actually is. So, I never actually had a lock, actually. I had a snap lock, wasn't a fan. Was a fan of the Sherlock. But yeah. Thank you. Awesome possum. See everybody later. Plenty of videos coming out in the next couple weeks to watch for.